All right, folks, welcome back to episode 40 of the Ginge Ball Pod. We have Beck, fresh off of some Cam Boozer hate watching. We have Ryan back on the pod to talk March Madness. Boys, how are we doing?
Wasn't hate watching. I'm just watching with my eyes, as some people in this room need to do. Thank
Holy
you.
shit. Ryan, how are we doing?
Good. Excited for the Sweet 16. We got some incredible matchups coming up.
You would be, you
Excited.
pervert.
I would be.
You would be excited about the sport we cover. But before we get into March Madness, we had Jared McCain returning to now the Xfinity Mobile Arena. Disgusting. Against the Sixers, obviously there was a tribute video at halftime, which is pretty hilarious. Just fan service from the Sixers. But McCain gets busy in that one, has 13. He's talking a little crazy to the crowd. And the OKC Thunder give the Sixers the work, beat us by 20. VJ, special on that one with 35 points. But this all just kind of brings it back into perspective with the Daryl Morey of it all. We had a discussion in my group chat earlier in the week just about kind of when you start to look at each individual transaction over the course of the Daryl Morey tenure, the home run swings are what really stand out to me. And we can talk about all day about how good he is with 10-day contracts and undrafted free agents and second rounders and all that shit. But at the end of the day,
Second round.
yeah, he had one great second round. Not a good second round this past year, an incredibly bad one. But the home run swings and just giving up on young guys, especially guys that good teams end up taking swings on and they hit, has just really stood out. What kind of were you guys feeling during that Jared McCain return, and are these some of the same feelings you're having?
I feel like when the trade happened, we were like extremely critical, and I feel like it's almost been worse than I thought it would be. Right,
Much
like
way
this
worse.
quickly. Like I don't even know if I expected him to just come in and immediately be like a 16 a game guy in like 20 minutes off the best team in the world's bench. We couldn't find any minutes for him though on our bench. A lot of guards, a lot of guards.
Glut.
It's just, yeah, I mean, exactly what we said before, the process, the basically lying from Daryl, everything is horrible. And I even come away like more mad at Nurse than I originally was because it's just ridiculous that you couldn't get him minutes on a team that was built the way ours was and had our rotation. Like that's an indictment on the coach. Like you got to find a way to use your guys better. Thank God for VJ. He really makes everything better in
Yeah.
Sixers world right now. But yeah, the McCain thing was a goddamn disaster, and it still is, and it's unfortunately going to continue to be that way.
Yeah, Beck.
Yeah, I mean, just the optics of the team doing a tribute for him seems like there's a disconnect between the front office and like the media team or whoever runs, running a tribute for a player. I don't know. That's the
PR.
one thing that was interesting to me. I just don't feel like you really see that level of dysfunction, shown live for the world to see. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was I didn't like the move when it happened, and I still don't. So I
Yeah.
mean,
It's interesting you bring up the PR of it all because it is just like clearly the fan reaction made its way to Sixers HQ and like made its way to their PR team, to
man,
everyone up and down the organization, and they know that
Yeah,
we're
I
pissed.
don't think there was a single Sixers fan that would see the McCain tribute going and say like, "Wow, great memories."
Right.
Everyone's going to be like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like, this is what we're doing after we traded him for essentially like a late first, maybe. It's just embarrassing at every level.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, is it like a middle finger to the front office from who do you say would run this? The PR
It's
team?
got to be like the PR, like
It's
So,
like ownership
yeah.
PR. It's all just like, but it honestly might not even be
no, I don't think it's a
an
middle
affront to the
finger. I
front
just think
office.
it's another sign of
Disconnect to the fans
their
then?
disconnect in
Think
the
that
whole
more. Yeah.
organization. Like the Sixers have always been like they've always been bad at messaging with like
Yeah.
injuries and reevaluations. Like the medical thing's always been a disaster, but their communication to fans has always been a kind of a disaster. So I feel like this is just kind of another step in that direction that they've been going.
Hey man, that's a former Grizzlies fan who had to deal with injury reports that said update you in 2 to 4 weeks, and then you would get the update in 2 to 4 weeks, and it'll say we'll update you in 2 to 4 weeks. I understand. So
Yeah.
The yeah, the Anthony Davis Wizards injury reports.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, the other thing that crossed my mind the other night when I was watching that game, and I was like genuinely just hate watching the Sixers, which was a weird experience, and it crossed my mind is like how many trades in NBA history, obviously Luka is one, do you come away where the entire fan base unequivocally is rooting for that player that you just traded away when they play against your team? I would bet 90% of Sixers fans watching that game who are like plugged in were rooting for McCain to have 40. Like, how many
1,000%.
instances
Yeah.
of that are there in NBA history besides like Luca?
That's a good question. There's got to be like a handful. I'm having trouble like thinking of them right now.
Chauncey to Denver, maybe.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, before our time, but like,
I mean, like the Sixers trading AI, but it was different. I feel like everyone knew
He was
his
past
time
it.
was up here. But
yeah,
like when he was back, still obviously like people were going nuts for him.
yeah. Not funny enough, AI's in that Billups trade too. But I mean, the
Mhm.
Billups
Doesn't
trade
make
was
you
just
think of
weird
it.
because the Pistons started off 4-0, and then they traded Billups, and they finished as like an 8th seed, and that ruins their streak of Eastern Conference Final appearances, and it was strictly like a money move. But I don't know. It's hard to believe that Pistons faithful would want to trade like a beloved character like that. That's one that I can think of off the top of my head, but you're right. There's not many
Yeah,
instances
but I
of
guess
it.
that's my point is like the list is really, really short. And it just kind of points to I think in the moment, like we all just said, we knew it was a bad trade. And obviously we'll have to see what they're able to get with the pick and whatever. I mean,
I mean, maybe Garnett to the Celtics then.
I was
yeah,
thinking of that trade
with
too.
the
That was
Minnesota fans, that's a good one. But it's also weird because McCain obviously to this point, and I don't think ever will be on caliber with those kinds of players. But I think it's just
mhm.
like the way it all broke down, especially with the vibes of this team and this core, that makes it feel that way, like that bad. Even though, like I said,
And it's like with
it's not
KG, like
KG, it's not
they went
Luca,
through
it's not.
a lot of years with him to where like they couldn't win, and KG's frustrated with the front office and that type of thing. We had a year and a quarter with him,
Right.
and everything was all good.
Yeah, that's what I'm
And
saying. It's like it almost it becomes a trade that's that level of bad just because there was no reason for it. Like there was just
yeah,
genuinely outside of shading tax money, and maybe Daryl thought he sucked, or Nick Nurse
I
thought
think
he
that's
sucked.
the biggest thing. I don't think they thought he was good.
Yeah,
I think that was the reason for it. If they thought he was good, they would have shed tax elsewhere. I don't think they ever saw him as a future piece of the puzzle, which is just insane considering you picked him in the draft and then he was the rookie of the year
that's
until
that.
he got injured.
Yeah, I
So like
just
why did you pick him then if you didn't like him? The front office hasn't changed. What
yeah.
happened between evaluating him then, seeing him nearly win rookie of the year and now?
Yeah, I guess the one thing that scares me is if Nurse played a bigger role in this than we think, and if that's the
I think he
case,
had a huge role.
and you're giving Nick Nurse that much agency in personnel decisions, that's another affront on Daryl, if that's the case. Because,
Yeah.
like, Nick Nurse might be out the door after the season, depending on how this
He needs
ends.
to be. He
Yeah.
needs to be, man.
I mean, I'm skeptical that he will be,
I don't
but
think he will be.
yeah. So I don't know. It just it brought up old scars again, and I'm just hoping that over time it'll be less annoying, but it's just seeing these tweets every other night with just like
Hmm.
Jared McCain drills four threes and the entire Thunder
Ripping
bench.
around screens
Yeah,
like it's
the
just
entire
like,
Thunder bench is
no.
doing his celly. It's like
Yeah.
fucking A, man. So that being said, let's move now to March Madness. We had the first weekend, this past weekend, some great games setting up for an excellent Sweet 16. I think probably one of the best Sweet 16 matchups wise that we've had in quite some time. Let's start with the top seeds, the ones that did well, and we can debate how well they did. But Michigan, Duke, and Arizona advanced mostly comfortably. Beck, I know you had some questions about the Blue Devils and their star.
No, everybody should.
Are
No,
there questions
no,
about Cam Boozer
one
after
hundred,
his struggles in his first two games?
100%. And people like you who go, oh, these are his worst games, and he still sleeps his way to 20-10. Brother, I mean, a majority of that was off free throws. Let's be serious. And this game got sabotaged by the referees. It got hijacked.
Which game? The Siena game or the
no, the
TCU
Duke
game?
TCU
No,
game.
TCU.
You mean by the attack on Dixon and
And I mean, the first 6 fouls of each half being on TCU. Of each half. Okay. And we're like
it's a 23-point difference in this
and we're
game.
6-7 minutes into each half, and there's already 7 fouls on TCU. They're already in the bonus, man.
Couldn't possibly be swayed by Beck having TCU money line.
Right.
There wasn't enough bread on that to have that much of an impact. Like, yes, it made me more angry as a neutral party, but
he goes, yes.
I mean, you couldn't sit there watching that game and be like, wow, there is a foul on TCU every play down the court. And you couldn't sit there and watch that game for the first, let's call it 28 minutes of the game and say, wow, Cam Boozer doesn't look pedestrian right now.
He really did. I will say, for a good, I would say 30 minutes of that game, he looked very average.
And I thought he looked very average in pretty much all the Siena game. Like, he got dominant down the last 10 minutes of the TCU game. There's no doubt about it. But I think a large part of that has to do with TCU just emotions getting out of hand because the game got hijacked by the referees.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't sway my mind on that.
Fair enough. Ryan?
I feel like I land kind of in between you guys on the Boozer of it all. I would say throughout the season, I think I've thought of him having a chance like to be the number one pick in my own head. Like I would maybe take him one. I think I've moved off that. I don't think there's any way I would take him over guys like DeBonsa, Peterson, and maybe
Caleb Wilson.
Caleb Wilson. Yeah, like I think to me, he probably falls more in like the 4 or 5 range. And it's just because like at the end of the day in the NBA, he is just small. He's like all of like I don't like they list him at what 6'9",
6'9", 250.
Yeah, I don't really buy it. Like I think he's more like 6'7", 6'8". And his biggest limitation is clearly like the athleticism. He's very strong in terms of that side of being an athlete, but he's not very like fleet of foot. He's not a crazy leaper. However, I'm still completely in on the IQ side of it all. The defense is there. The offense is there. It's just more about the NBA fit with him to me. He's one of the safer, higher floor guys. I just question like the ceiling as like, I know Indiana's been reportedly like all over him.
Yeah, that feels like
why we're already getting reports, but even if you just take it at face value, how does he fit with their bigs? Like, where does he play with a Siakam?
I don't think
they got Zubats. They got Zubats.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I think
like,
that's actually maybe the best fit for him in Indiana
well,
as compared.
If Siakam wasn't there, sure, but like he can't play a 3.
That's true. Spacing could be weird there.
He can't be a 3. He's a 4, maybe, and maybe like a small ball 5 if you have an athletic 4. Like it's just the fit of it all. If he goes to the right place, I think he's going to be completely fine and be like a great NBA player.
I just think I'm not willing to in this draft, especially where it's very
right.
tough.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not willing to take a connector. Even top 5 at
he
this
is.
Point.
That's kind of what I was just about to say. Is I where I disagree with maybe, and I think Beck. I wouldn't say you're like completely out on him, but you're definitely more out on him about like being a top 3 pick for sure.
He's just not going to be a star, man. I'm sorry. I say this jokingly a little bit, but I also say it serious. Like I think he is like Brandon Clark is like a fair comp for him.
I don't see that like at all because Brandon Clark like didn't sniff shooting.
Brandon
the basketball.
Clark wasn't a creator.
I don't think this guy will sniff shooting the basketball.
He's a 40% 3-point shooter on like nothing volume, and he also
I don't think in a league where there's
stretch especially when Caleb Foster went out, not in the tournament thus far. I think they've let Caden Boozer run more offense, but in the ACC tournament and down the stretch of the season, he was running offense. And he is a great passer. He is a smart guy. He feels double teams. He obviously had more turnover issues against TCU, a more athletic defense. But yeah, it's the floor is so high to me that it rules out like complete flop, like bust potential. But I do agree with you guys both.
Do you feel like he's decisive as a playmaker?
I do. I think
I don't. That's where I
I
disagree.
think he is, but
think
I think he hasn't looked it in times during the tournament. I do think he
weirdly,
struggled a little bit in the
but that's
tournament, but
all I
like
really need to know.
but
earlier,
weirdly,
I've seen
weirdly, he's a
him.
better playmaker off the dribble, it seems
Yeah, his
sometimes, than he
PNR
is
like as the
down.
ball handler is fantastic.
Yeah, which is strange to me given his size and like he's kind of a weird tweener kind of guy. Like he's
Who is
almost
giving Cam Boozer pick and roll as the ball handler in the NBA?
I think in
I'm
stretches
not
you can.
saying he's
Like
your
he
primary
he
creator,
could
but as a secondary, like
Uh,
that's a great
think
skill to
of think of
have.
I don't even think
Shangoon.
teams are giving him rope as a secondary
Think of
ball handler.
Shangoon as like a more reliable shooter and way more passable defensively. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of where I see him, and that's an all-star. Like you're
Mhm.
getting an all-star with Cam Boozer at the end of the
I mean,
day.
so you would play him at the 5?
I think you could. I think in Indiana with Zubac, I agree that the Siakam fit's weird because Siakam, you don't really love him being the three, and
Yeah, he can't
Booze
be a three.
like Booze Siakam Zubac is really weird. But if it was just him and Zubac, like that profile of team, or like him and like a Cornet, like it's kind of like the Wemby thing where you have to have like a more traditional kind of rim protecting big guy
So
who's
you would want him on a team where you play high low.
yeah, I wouldn't mind that. I think there's spots for him that I think make a lot of sense. The problem with Boozer, and where I tend to agree with you guys, is if you're throwing him into a Sacramento situation, Washington situation, like some of these less fledged out situations where he's going to be asked to do a ton and kind of be the focal point of that rebuild. I'm not as in on that, and I'm even starting to. You guys said Caleb Wilson. I'm warming to him moving up my draft board. I think some of the stuff, just like even take out the offense, which I think he can improve on. The defensive stuff is ridiculous with
Yeah,
Caleb. Like
it's
the roaming, like it's wild. It's like Jaren Jackson, but a better athlete, and just like very competent with the ball in his hands and more fluid as an athlete. Like the Caleb Wilson stuff is really starting to grow on me. And if I am one of those teams that really needs to like it's blank canvas, I need a star to build around. I wouldn't be
He'd
like
be so good on
100%
Washington.
out to just take a flyer on him. But you can't miss is the problem. And a lot of these GMs in these situations are in situations where if they do miss, it gets ugly for them.
what about Acuff? Would you take him over Acuff?
Boozer,
Yeah.
yeah, I would take him over Acuff. The defense stuff with Acuff is really
Just
alarming to me.
it's
I
a
think he's
struggle for
awesome.
me.
I also
Not
just
sure which way I'll go yet.
yeah, he also like finishing at the rim is like pretty bad.
A team made sure he's selling tickets.
Yeah, I mean that's true. Basketball is entertainment at the end of the day, but I
mean,
could
he's
see
such a brand already at this point, and
yeah,
we haven't seen what that could like if they go to the Final Four.
for
It's up
sure.
with
I
them.
just I if I'm the GM and I care about basketball first, I'm not taking Acuff over Cam Boozer. Cam Boozer just
I don't have a lean yet.
yeah, I think it's fair.
I think I'm there. I just
You're
I knew Beck would take Acuff over Boozer.
yeah.
I
just
I think this is an offensive league at this point. You have to be passable defensively, obviously.
Yeah, but he's not even close to passable.
yeah, he's like
He's
I'm
like
not.
worst ever.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
What do you mean? Like watch the games that he plays.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
horrible.
not. I'm not sure. Effort isn't a thing that plays into that, though.
Yeah, but I mean
yeah, I
that's
mean
the
he was
problem.
but like it was the NCAA tournament. Like I think Rob
I
Martin
can't get you to lock in.
we'll get to Rob Martin at High Point. I think he's special, but like if he's giving you 30 and it's like pretty like he was like getting flashy. Like Rob Martin was getting in his
Yeah,
bag.
he was giving it to him.
Like it was as good as Acuff was offensively, Rob Martin was equally as good on the other end with Acuff as the primary defender most of those plays. The thing about Acuff and J. Kyle Mann brought this up on the Ringer Pod today is his finishing at the rim is like 34%. It's like really bad, and he's not as crafty of a finisher as you'd like for a guy of his like stature. Like I think Acuff, and maybe it's because, and he brought this up too on the pod, is like maybe he's asked to do way too much at Arkansas right now, and that like in the NBA with other guys playing off him because he's a great playmaker. maybe with other guys playing off him who are much more talented, and with other guys setting up some of his offense too, that stuff looks better. But if you're a complete zero on defense right now, I'm not saying he can't get better. We've seen guys who come in as bad defenders get much better. But if he's a complete zero on defense and there's red flags on the offensive side, in addition, I would just be a little bit spooked, like jumping him up to like.
Besides height, how is that any different than LaMelo Ball in the last 5 years?
Well, LaMelo Ball is maybe one of the best playmakers we've seen in this century. Like LaMelo Ball is a different level of playmaker.
You don't
Like
think
the creation, he's like
didn't-
him and Halliburton
okay,
are like.
Acuff's like one of the best creators in college basketball.
I agree.
In the last
I
20
agree.
years.
I don't disagree. The stuff Acuff is doing, and statistically it all backs up, he has been special. And maybe that's the
LaMelo's
case.
like 6'6" and came from Lithuania, where no one had
he was
seen
playing
him
pro.
play.
Yeah.
I mean, I said, but besides the height, like, what's the difference there? Because he sucks at finishing at the rim still.
No, I think that's a good case. Like if you're an Acuff truther and you are pushing him up in those conversations, I think that's probably the best case. Is like we've seen guys in a similar archetype become stars and overcome a lot of these things. I would be a little bit spooked. And I don't know the LaMelo rim finishing stuff, but he's
the worst in the league. He's 34.
Yeah,
he's horrible.
he's got a lot of similar flaws. So
Yeah.
that I think that's a good case. I just personally, I'm a bit spooked. I still think he's a top 5 prospect. I would be a little bit spooked to push him above like the Boozers of the world or the Caleb Wilsons of the world. I think the top 4 to me is very set in stone. Like those guys, the order I can switch, but I think there's a little bit of a drop off after the 4 spot. But yeah, I think your concerns with Boozer are valid. I just keep coming back to like if the worst possible outcome is 20 and 11, then I don't think we're dealing with like.
No, I don't think he's touching 20
issue.
points per game in the NBA. I don't believe that this guy trusts his jumper enough out of the high post, and he's indecisive.
That's true.
That's the number one thing that jumps
the
off
mid range.
the screen to me.
He is a willing 3-point shooter, and he really wants to get into your chest in the lane. He has in between there is a flaw of his game. I would say.
I don't see where else that team would play him though on an NBA basketball court.
Well, he would space the floor in the NBA. Like he's going to shoot. Like the volume on the threes is going to go up in the NBA.
I'm not really that
then do you
worried
like
about
his game?
offense.
Yeah,
Do
I
you
like his game
as a stretcher. And
I like his game.
How many touches in the high post is the team willing to give him?
I mean, he's going to be going to a bad team most likely. Unless
the
it's the Pacers.
situation with him will be interesting too, because I think
there's
that's
going
going to
to be
dictate.
2 or 3 offensive guys that you trust more than them immediately in any situation.
I
Besides like
disagree with
Sacramento.
that completely.
All right, Washington.
Well, they just got Trae Young and AD. I mean, it's not. That's not like
it's either
how many
guy can be on
teams?
that team?
How many teams that are? Well, that's the other thing. Are either of those guys going to play basketball? But how many teams that are tanking are coming into the next year with 2 like premier multiple time all-stars that just like didn't play the previous year? Like Washington's a weird case.
All right, then let's trying to
Like if it was like Sarr and the boys,
Brooklyn,
then
no,
yes,
all
he
the
would
teams in
be.
the shit are kind of like they have a similar Utah. Like they're a team that's
Brooklyn.
going to be in play there.
Yeah, Utah's
Brooklyn does not have 3 guys better than Cam Boozer on offense.
Yeah, but they have one.
They don't have one.
One for Michael Porter right now for certain.
Is
Sure.
he a net at game 1 of next season?
That's the question.
Yeah. So I mean, in Brooklyn, he would be. I even think like.
That's like the worst situation ever for him.
Also, Utah, are they going to keep both Laurie and Triple J? What's your read on that?
It doesn't
like
matter.
if they get one
keep
out the
one, they
door-
still have 2 guys, Keontae and Jaren.
That's the team that should just draft Acuff, depending on where they land. Then you have guard.
And then what do you get rid of Keontae?
Yeah.
Because I feel like you can't have both of them is weird.
I want to pay the price tag for Keontae personally, but
yeah. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. My thing, it is the ceiling with Boozer's weird because if you don't believe in the ceiling, then I'm inclined to agree with you guys that you should move him down your board. I just think that like when I start to envision him with NBA spacing, like I said with the Şengün comp, like I think he's just, and maybe that's even disrespectful to his athleticism a little bit, but I just can't see a world where he's not like a really impactful winning NBA player. And
yeah,
like
I'm more on your side with that.
I'll finish with this.
I trust the shooting.
Maybe we're inclined to see a similar situation play out to Jeff Teague and Marcus Teague, where the more highly touted Marcus Teague, who
No, you're
got
not about to do a Caden Boozer take.
hey,
Beck, he's a point guard that like can't
Yeah, we're
snitch shooting
knocking
beyond
Cam
the
Boozer
free
for
throw
his
line.
shooting when he's a 40% three-point
that's what they
shooter.
said about Jeff. They said Marquise Teague was everything that
I
Jeff
don't
could
know.
have.
I'm telling you, I've watched like a decent bit of Caden Boozer. He's like Kendall Marshall. Like it's like he's like a facilitating
And I
point guard
respect
who's like
that.
gritty. Yeah, he's a respectful player. He's like probably not even like an NBA player though. Like he
They
might
said
be
the
like
same thing about Colin Gillespie,
special take.
and I'll finish with that.
and I'll drop the mic on that one. Yeah, but I mean, that was going to Caden might be better than Cam was crazy work.
Shout out Carlos, though, special offspring. All right, we'll finish with that.
Let's go, special offspring. But yeah, so I think those 3 1 seeds, and maybe you could say that Arizona also got a little bit of a scare from Utah State. I think they controlled the end of that game, but we got to get to Florida, man. They get knocked out by Iowa. They get out rebounded by Iowa. That is an indictment on that front line to me. Chinulu has 0 points, a complete no-show from him. Condon had 21. I think it was 21-7. But yeah, man, Florida goes down to Iowa, just a completely undermanned squad that had no business winning that game. What'd we see in that one?
I feel like Florida just came out like almost like they were treating it as a 16 seed game.
Yeah, they got punched in the mouth.
It didn't seem like they were all that worried about it. And I think the big difference with this team that has been discussed all year is like they don't have the Walter Clayton that is able to get them buckets from the guard position when they need it. And I feel like he steadied them so much last year in tournament. And
he straight up saved them.
Saved them multiple times.
In the natty.
And even if it wasn't like amazing plays, I just feel like he did so much for them in terms of keeping their offense moving and stuff like that. And I feel like they got so stagnant at times in this game. And ultimately, I just feel like Iowa was playing with nothing to lose and came out, surprised him, and kept it rolling the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, to Ryan's point, but more so like it's in the same vein, but it's a little bit different. Just like the guard play, there's no structured roles between Xavier Lee and Boogie Fland.
Yeah.
It feels like they don't know who the guy is. Like Boogie Fland being used as their primary defender on the other player's best guard is weird. Like that's not what he was last year at Arkansas at all. I feel like they did not get what they expected out of Boogie Fland at all. And I mean, it shows with him transferring as well. So, I mean, you had Elijah Martin last year too, like just much better guard play overall.
Yeah,
like not even Walter Clayton, like
a
lot of other guys. But Florida was in close. Like it's not like Florida steamrolled to a natty last year. Like they have 4 games off the top of my head that came down to the final minute.
That UConn game.
UConn, Tech, who they play in the Final Four before?
They played because it was Houston, Duke, and Florida. Auburn, right?
Yeah,
Chennai Broom.
Yeah, and that game was tense the whole way through too. And that's just 4 off the top of my head. Like they probably had a good game in the Sweet 16 as well. Yeah, they didn't have enough structure in those final moments, and then like the defensive plan on the last play of the game was
so bad.
Why are you pressing?
Yeah.
They let the guy. They said it. I mean, Chuck and Kenny basically put it in the best terms. Why are you basically setting them up with the fast break opportunity by choice? Yeah. Just one of the dumber things you can possibly do.
I think what they were
trying got out coached like bad.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's one of the biggest. I think you guys both hit on 2 of the biggest talking points of this game, which are Florida's guards haven't been good enough all year and weren't good enough today or in that game, and 2, Ben McCollum just ran circles around Todd Golden. And on that last play, I sort of get what Todd Golden's trying to do. He's trying to deny the inbound to Sturtz. And that pass that they were able to get into Sturtz was really difficult. Like, it was pinpoint. Like, he's coming off a curl screen, running up court, and, like, the hand to try to block that pass was, like, right here. But you have to account for that potentially happening and him just flying up court, their best playmaker with numbers up situation in front of him with the game on the line. So, yeah, I mean, a head scratcher on that one. Also, their last offensive possession was also a head scratcher. Like Xavier Lee was kind of running into traffic and then put something on the glass. And maybe that's just a Xavier Lee thing. Like, you have a stellar rebounding team. I know they didn't rebound great in this game, but put something on the glass, give Condon a chance to go up and tip it in, or maybe your shot just falls. Why are you going under trying to wrap something around. I don't even think
Yeah,
they would have gotten anything off if it did get through that
probably not.
pass. So yeah, I mean, the end of the game situation stuff there for Florida was bad, and you got a bad shooting game from Bennett Certs, and
5 for
like
16.
you lost. There is no world where that should happen.
No way they should lose
And
that
like
game.
Bennett Certs was still very good in this game. I thought he controlled the tempo very well for Iowa. They want to slow you down. They want to get in the half court, and his passing was great in this game. But man, if you get an ice cold shooting night, 0 for 9 from 3 from Bennett Certs, you should be beating an Iowa team as Florida. Like that this loss can't happen, man. So I think you guys got it spot on. I think this is a massive indictment on Todd Golden, and like, how is this happening? Or maybe Ben McCollum's just that great of a coach, and we should be talking about him potentially.
No, I mean, because the story of the year for Florida is the guard play not being as good.
Yeah.
And I mean, in a transfer portal era, if
they'll fix that. I'd be shocked if they don't fix it.
But I mean, I don't think like.
But can you trust them to do it?
That's
after?
true.
You maximize the talent when it's in the build. Like Flam wasn't a bad move. It's just they didn't use him right.
Yeah, that's true. I think Lee was a bad move, or maybe just was.
Yeah, he might not be very good. Well, I'm not take on it, but
yeah, he shot well in this game. But yeah, I agree that this level probably was a bit much for him. I think that Princeton stuff was pretty nuts. If you like roll on the tape, like he was ridiculous just in terms of getting into his bag, the ISO stuff, the creations. But yeah, I mean, they lacked that Walter Clayton role. They lacked the table setter, and the ISO scorer. But Abuka Courier out of Stanford. I don't know if he goes in the NBA draft. He could be a Florida Gator next year. But I think like they need to take that swing again. And they hit on Elijah Martin. Like I don't think it's like they're not going to be able to figure it out because they've done it. So
they'll be fine.
I do think they'll figure it out.
I keep coming back to this point. That FAU team was so stacked.
Dude, they had Nick Boyd too. I forgot about that.
Yes.
Like you go up and down that starting lineup.
Like they had everybody, dude. That team,
so
and they ran
good.
it back and like lost early in the tournament.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was because I saw a picture of that backcourt today, and it was like Nick Boyd and John L. Davis, and I was like, wait, Nick Boyd was on that? Like that completely.
Yeah, they were loaded.
Yeah, but yeah, so obviously a tough loss for Florida, but Iowa moving on with very winnable matchup with Nebraska. We'll get to that in our Sweet 16 preview.
Special game.
The 2 seeds all cruise to victory. Which 2 seed do you guys think has the best chance to cut down the nets? And which team have you been most impressed by from that group?
You know my answer. It's the Cyclones, baby. I was on them before the tournament, obviously. And I've come away extremely impressed through 2 games. They lose one of their best players, and
might be back on Friday, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't seem like they've skipped a beat, and they might be getting back, hopefully. So I think, I mean, I've been pretty impressed by all of them, to be honest. But Iowa State in particular, I feel like they have a good argument, and that was my team going in. So stick with them.
Yeah, Beck?
I undervalued and undermined Houston way too much. So I've been moved by their performance this first weekend. I think I undermined the talent more so than anything, and just, kind of amounted them to just a gritty team like they usually are. But the talent on this team, Kingston Flemings, all the other guys I got in this building, they're good. They're legitimately good.
I really like Chris Sinak, dude.
I've been so impressed by them. The reason I can't say Iowa State is I don't think they've played a good team yet. I don't think
that's also true.
That's fair. Very fair. And they struggled with Kentucky for a while there, but
yeah.
And I mean, you have one of their guards in the post-game presser saying our plan was to essentially make them quit.
Mm-hmm.
And they did.
And they succeeded.
Yeah. We got to talk about the Kentucky situation, man. Like, Mark Pope, dog, count your days.
UConn, I can't say I'm impressed by, but both these games, like, they're not close, but they're tight. Like, they're right there on being close.
Yeah.
It's tough. Like, UConn's a mentally tough team. I just think, like, I could easily see Michigan State's a team I feel like I undervalued a lot, too. I can easily see Michigan State winning that game and probably will take them. I think that defensive pressure for Michigan State, similar to like a St. John's, is something that gives UConn trouble, and I think that might be what you see. So it's definitely Houston for me. UConn would be second, but they're a distant second, and Iowa State is third just because I haven't really seen them get tested that much.
Yeah.
I'm with you on Houston. I definitely kind of underestimated them just because I think I'm just still so mad that they lost the championship game last year, and it would have won me a ton of money. So I think I was just against them at every corner.
Yeah. Yeah. I said Illinois off the rip for that crew of teams, but
And great.
yeah, they've impressed me a lot as a 3 seed. But yeah, I think of the 2 seeds, and I wanted to get to the Michigan State Louisville game as well in this discussion, but I agree with you guys. I think Houston is the most talented. I was in the building for obviously for the UCLA UConn game, and for that first half, UCLA controlled the majority of it. Booker was getting busy for UCLA, and UConn didn't have much to do about it. And then in the second half, you got huge performances from Caravan, Mullins, and some of those guys, and they cruised to end that game. They dominated the second half. But for UConn, the thing with me is you haven't really seen solo ball be a factor at all to this point. Mullins was non-existent in the first half of that game, and then got hot late. So in a matchup with the Michigan State team, who I think struggled at times in that Louisville game, but got great performances from Cone Carr, from Jeremy Fears, from Kohler, from all their key guys. I think UConn could really struggle, but you just
Did
have
Fears even
to.
put like Fears shot terribly too,
He
didn't
had
he?
16 assists. I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah,
but like he struggled to put the ball in the basket.
yeah, for sure. But like in terms of the playmaking stuff, it was pretty ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, so Michigan State to me though is a team that I think could struggle scoring. I don't think you can count on Cone Carr to give you 21 points again. I think he's a freak athlete, and I love the defensive stuff with him. At the next level, I see him as like a Derrick Jones Jr. type guy that's just a very impactful NBA player. But scoring wise, I worry about them. And like, yeah, Fierce. Like, we need to see a little bit more in terms of scoring from him. And then, yeah, I would have obviously Houston as my top of the 2 seeds. But I think they have a really difficult matchup with Illinois coming up, which we
Yeah.
will get to.
Yeah, I'm pissed that I had Illinois in my Final Four out of that bracket for a while, and that was like the one thing that I tinkered on was putting Florida back in it. I really wish I had Illinois because I just love the way they're playing right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get to that when we do our previews. But I think
Mhm.
they're a fun matchup. Let's get to the Zags, man. WCC, a really abysmal showing. I was talking crazy about St. Mary's before the dance. They get absolutely worked by A&M. And then Santa Clara, obviously a heartbreaker to Kentucky. They go down. And then the Zags just losing a game you really shouldn't lose. I know this Texas team is frisky, and they have some guys I really like. Jordan Pope was great in this one. But Texas takes down the Zags. What do we think about that one? And how far do you guys think the Longhorns can go?
I mean, just color me not surprised, man. This Gonzaga team, not good. We knew this. You consider like who are your biggest losers? I thought about Gonzaga, and then I'm like,
They were
not
on my
really,
list.
man. It's just par for the course for this Gonzaga basketball team. That's why I didn't. I had the wrong team beating them. Obviously, I had BYU,
Hmm.
but not surprised at all. This is when they went out. It's just like Mark Few checking in. How you doing? I'm leaving the tournament. See you, Mark. Enjoy.
Wow, get loud.
I'm not gonna go that far with Gonzaga. Like I think Fears is a great. He is that program to
Yeah,
me. But I think you completely see early exits when this team lacks like a guy that's a household name, or you can kind of like stamp as that's the guy at Gonzaga.
Drew Timmy's not
So,
walking through that door, big bro.
yeah. And when
Timmy.
that's the case, yes, I'm getting Gonzaga out in the first weekend, and I'm not surprised by it. And a gritty team like Texas, I feel deserves a good amount of credit. I think they've been good
Yeah.
in this tournament, like
They've been
very
very
good.
good.
And there's stretches in this game where this could have got away in terms of Gonzaga gets 2 or 3 buckets in a row. And I feel like Texas, nullified that immediately every step of the way. Sean Miller, great showing from him this tournament. This is
Yeah.
really maybe his return to getting a top tier job again. And I kind of like that for him. I
Yeah.
think they got a chance, man. I think they got
Oh
a
yeah,
serious
we'll
shot.
get to their matchup, but yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, Texas has really impressed me. When I first saw the bracket and I saw obviously they were a first four team up against NC State, but I didn't even have them in that game. I really didn't like Texas much when I watched them this year. Jordan Pope is a great player. I like Dalen Swain a lot. Wing for them. Tremont Mark's been awesome in their few games. But Matas Fokatitis, their big man, dude, he had 23 and 16 in their round of 64 game. He has 17 and 9 in this one against the Zags. he's been dominant for them down low. He's been a huge difference maker, and they're just athletic. They have good wings,
It
good
feels
guard
very,
play.
they feel
Yeah,
very together.
yeah,
They feel very together. Like that jumps off the screen to me about them.
yeah.
Both the games they played.
It's a team that makes a lot of sense, which I think if you go through March Madness history and you look at some of the, and it's tough to call Texas a Cinderella because it's the
You
University of
totally can.
Texas,
No,
but like this is
you
an
don't.
11 seed that I think if you go through the history of March Madness runs and teams like this, it is a common theme that they sort of have this like connectivity feeling to them, and it does feel like they all want each other. Like Tremont Mark was the guy in the round of 64 game, like hitting big shots. And
Mhm.
even in the first 4 game, hits
Yeah.
that game winner against NC State. He has an absolute stinker in this one. Plays terribly. But it didn't matter because every game it's someone new for them. Jordan Pope goes off in this one. Titus goes off for them in this one. Like they just have guys stepping up everywhere. And it does just give you that feeling of like it's more so like that. Remember that Oregon State team the year after the bubble, kind of out of nowhere, and they just kind of had everything clicking. Like the guards were hitting threes way above their heads, and they were defending really well, and just a well coached team. That feels like this Texas team, and they're dangerous right now and full of confidence.
Yeah, and I think we'll get to it when we get to it, but I think I like them in that matchup against Purdue because it's kind of like a ragtag group of guys on Texas that's thrown together versus a team that's been together forever in Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the cohesion edge is actually on the side of Texas when I watch.
Mm. In terms, I see what
Quick
you mean.
question.
Yeah,
Oregon State made a Final Four. Why do I
yeah,
not
the
remember
year
that
after
at
COVID.
all?
Because dude, it was the weirdest run of all. Also, that tournament was
Yeah,
so weird.
it's a Gonzaga undefeated until the
Yeah,
championship game tournament.
yeah.
Wait, are you positive they didn't lose in the Elite Eight?
It might have been Elite Eight, but it was a deep run.
It looks like it. I just looked it up because I genuinely had no
They were
recollection of
yeah.
that. But yeah, they did. They
Was
made
it
it to
Elite
the
Eight?
Elite Eight, lost a tight one against Houston.
Houston. Okay, yeah, and
They
yeah,
lost
and
by
that game was
6 in the
great
Elite
too.
Eight.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
and
they
they
beat
did they?
Tennessee in the first round,
Yeah,
and then they got some lucky matchups after that.
I was gonna say they played on really low.
Well,
seed.
they beat Oklahoma State and then beat.
They were a 12, right?
Yes, they were 12. They beat 5 Tennessee,
Yeah.
beat 4 Oklahoma State, and then they got lucky with Sister Jean and Loyola Chicago.
Lucky they were special.
Special.
That Loyola, the second Loyola team was
They
so
beat the
good.
shit out of Tennessee in the first round.
That's like
Yeah,
one
they
of the most underrated teams, like in terms of their seed going into a tournament ever. Their metrics, they were like a top 10 team.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, this Texas team is peaking at the right time, and they have talent. Like Weaver's good, Swain's good, Tremont Mark we know is good from his Houston days. Like this is a talented team, and sometimes you just catch a spark in March, and your talent just starts to show up. And I think this is maybe one of those situations, and we'll get to what we think of the next round. But Purdue, we just mentioned that we think they might be liable for an upset in the next round, but they were liable for an upset in this round, and Miami almost did it, man. Jay Lucas and the boys, the Canes, gave Purdue all they could handle. What do we see in this one? Fletcher Lawyer, 24 points.
Yeah,
Is he due an apology?
I was about to get out ahead of this one. First off, I feel vindicated by I had Miami beating them and then switched it to Purdue. But love those Miami boys. They battled their ass off, so I felt good that I had picked them at some point. But Fletcher Lawyer, I apologize, my brother in Christ. He was absolutely cooking.
He shot the
there.
piss out of the ball.
He was extremely special. Like it was.
I think he missed one shot.
Vintage JJ Redick stuff going on out there. But yeah, I mean, they looked good. I mean, it helps a lot when Fletcher Lawyer scores 24 on like 8 shots or something, whatever it was. So ridiculous. But yeah, I was impressed by them. I mean, I kind of look at them like I look at Gonzaga, and one of those teams showed up, and one of those teams was who I thought they were. So respect to Purdue for coming out and playing well against a pretty solid Miami team. Like
they're a good.
Definitely not like an elite team, but right now they're playing very well. So that was a good team they played, and it was a good one.
I just feel like Purdue.
Braden Smith was bad in this one, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, he was horrible.
And I think he'll continue to be bad because
and he had 8
Braden's
turnovers.
It's not his friend. Trust me, it is not his friend. I don't think
he like kind of kept Miami in the game himself.
Yeah.
He's done this for multiple tournament runs. He's not good in the tournament. And I don't think you're winning multiple games when that's the case. Sorry. I think you're out.
He is the one that I worry about more in big time matchups
They
because
just rely on him too much.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
Put
he has
all
the ball in his hands so
and if
much.
it's bad with him, which oftentimes it is in big games, it's really bad. And if the defense not isn't good, then you really just have a liability at like the most important spot
Yeah.
on your team because they are like built around him.
And it's like
So
such a trust thing, I feel like, with Painter. He just doesn't want to get away from their usual stuff of having Smith with the ball. But it's like, dude, I feel like he doesn't get to the rim well. Like he's not taking anybody off the dribble and beating them to the cup.
his
So
dribble is
like
so loose.
when the like pull up midi that he shoots all the time isn't falling, it's like, what do you do here, man?
I think that a lot of that comes down to he doesn't trust Fletcher with the ball all though. They don't have like a secondary
Yeah.
guard that can take the
well, they
pressure
don't
off.
trust him to handle, yeah,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I mean is fair. He's like that's not really his game,
Yeah,
but
he's
I mean the problem is they don't really have a second option. Like if you
mm-mm.
do go away from Braden, like, and maybe that's just sort of like a roster construction issue because they have had guards in the past where
Yeah, Ivy.
I mean, Jaden
Yeah.
Ivey, yeah, like they've had guys in the past where you could run offense through them.
I mean,
Like
you go
Ivey had the
back and
ball in his
watch
hand a
that
ton.
that 2019 team. Like they had what's the shooter's name? Not Carson Edwards. The white guy off the screens.
Oh, you're talking about Dakota Mathias
No.
on the Sixers special? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. The thin dude with the dark hair.
Is it
Yeah,
Ryan Klein into the night?
Yes, Ryan
Yes,
Klein.
Klein,
He was
yes.
special, dude. He was
yeah.
absolutely
He was a
special.
stupid shooter. He
Yeah.
looked like he just came off literally
Yeah,
like
he
an
was-
accounting job.
And not to say like he's a guy that you would trust with the ball in his
damn,
hands,
man.
but he's a
Carson
guy that you would at least
Edwards
run
is
action for.
special.
This team doesn't have any other person you even run action for on offense.
Yeah, I think you can run actions for Fletch.
I was gonna say they have no choice.
I-
They have to run him for Fletch.
I think that's a little grand. I don't think he's that
Well,
level.
but I
player.
think we're hitting at like the heart of why I think Purdue's liable to get upset in the next
Yeah,
round is like
Yeah.
if that's because I mean you could get a much better game out of Braden, especially against Texas. Texas hasn't been a good defensive team, so like I could see Braden having like a much more normal game for him.
The take I had on Houston is the take I should have stamped on Purdue. They don't have the talent of a 2 seed at all.
Yeah, they have a certain level of like stability though that like because Kaufman Wren is just not going to play bad.
Yeah.
Clough has been big for them. Fletch, say what you want, he's had bad performances in big games, but I do like
He's
for the
balling
most
right
part
now.
trust him. Yeah, and like Braden Smith is the one that I have major concerns about in big games, but like I said, I don't see him completely blowing up to this extent in every game. And if you get a better version of him especially against
I mean,
Texas,
he has to average at least 6 turnovers per game in his tournament history. I promise you, it's bad every time I watch.
I mean, he was much better when he had Zach Edey, but yeah,
I mean, the FDU game was an atrocity by him.
yeah,
It was
that one was
fucking
bad.
terrible.
But the Final Four, the one where they went to the title game, he was much better in that run, and so was Fletch. But yeah, I mean, they have concerns and more concerns. I agree with you than the other 2 seeds that we've already talked about. And on the Miami side of this, Shelton Henderson is really good, and he's a weird case where like highly touted recruit, but not super talked about in media a lot. I haven't heard his name in a lot of draft conversations. So that's a guy that I think Miami might be getting back next year. And if he's back next year, and maybe you get a couple of these other guys back, I think Miami might be very, very good next year because Jay Lucas is a special coach. Like, he is going to be one of the better coaches in America soon. And if you give him his own recruits with maybe Henderson back, maybe some of the other guys, I really like what Miami's building, and they gave Purdue all they could handle.
If you're a guy like him, do you jump to a quote unquote better program? I just feel like location wise with NIL, you're in the perfect spot in Miami.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to.
That's the thing. For him specifically, a first year guy, I don't think now is the time for the jump. But yeah, his name's going to be in a lot of these conversations. And like, but I think like the McCollums of the world, the Nate Oateses, like those guys are going to be probably more talked about.
Oates is the one I think definitely.
Oates is my guy for the UNC job.
Yeah.
That's a match made in heaven. I want to see that. But yeah, I think it's probably a year too early for Lucas for like one of those jobs. And
How
I
about
think
Ben McCullum?
yeah, I think McCollum's probably his name will heat up in a lot of these conversations, especially if Self does retire, which we'll
Yeah,
see
that'd be
soon.
interesting.
But yeah, so Purdue moving on, Nebraska. gets their first Sweet 16 ever with a wild win over Vandy. I really thought that Tyler Tanner half court shot was going down, in and out, overinflated ball. But
PSI.
yeah. But what do we see in this one, and what do we think about Nebraska going forward?
Probably the best overall game of the tournament.
Unreal game. Yeah,
Great
unreal game.
And before we get into the game, just to talk about a guy who's coming back and they might be special next year for the team, like Tanner, if he comes back, which I think he is.
I don't know. I've seen
deal
people
good.
put him in crazy conversations on draft boards.
I think he's going back.
Yeah, I've seen Vandy
guy.
stuff saying that they think he is. So
yeah, but I had this take after I saw the press conference before the game. I don't think you were ever winning this game if you're Vanderbilt when your coach comes out and cries victim about Nebraska having a home court advantage in OKC. Just one of the most ridiculous comments ever, especially
by Byington.
After you played essentially home court advantage during the SEC tournament. So, like, pipe it down a little bit, buddy. But the atmosphere, yeah. I mean, the Nebraska fans travel well. Nebraska starts out hot. They kind of jump on Vanderbilt. Excuse me. They jump on Vanderbilt. And from there, I mean, it's a back and forth game. And you kind of thought Vanderbilt had it in the tuck after they hit that shot with a minute to go up before, right?
Yeah, I really thought they were going to win this one.
But, I mean, just superb shot making, ball movement. Both these teams moved the ball extremely well.
Yeah.
That was the best game of the tournament.
Yeah, I my money was also on Nebraska, and it was the final of like 5 legs, and all of them hit. By that point, I was quite inebriated, and I'm not going to lie to you. For about 30 seconds, I thought the shot went in, and I was heartbroken for quite some time until I realized that it went.
There was a lot of spillage on the table. Me and Ryan were sitting at because of Ryan. I just said that.
Did you like turn before it bounced out, or what happened?
I like saw it, think I turned, and I was just like, "Holy shit, it's in!" And yeah, so that was tough and then fantastic, but incredible game by both teams. Tanner is genuinely special. I saw a clip someone posted. I forget what it was, but he had another in and out from
against Missouri.
Yeah, against Missouri from half court. And damn, I just feel for that brother losing that way. Just that's gotta suck.
Yeah, great character kid, like great press conference.
But yeah, we'll see what happens with him and his future. But definitely interested, especially if he comes back. Feel like this Vanderbilt team is going to be pretty damn good next year if he's back.
Yeah. This was one of my favorite teams in the tournament. I was pretty pissed that they lost this one. But yeah, I think the stat that stands out from this one was the points in the paint were Nebraska 38, Vandy 22. And we knew Vandy was pretty frail down low. They don't really have like traditional bigs. McLaughlin and Okereke are kind of like tweener fours, but even that, they're pretty small. So this was kind of where that game was won and lost. I thought
this game was chippy too.
It was. I mean, this felt like this was a special environment kind of game. And Braden Frager was huge for Nebraska off the bench. He's been their X factor throughout this season, but obviously he gets the game winner in this one, 15 off the bench. When he's going like that, it's tough to beat this Nebraska team. Obviously Sanford and Rink Moss, big from 3. But yeah, Tyler Tanner, man, really, really special player. He reminds me a ton. And it's easy because it's another Vandy guy, but he gives me big Garland vibes. Maybe even like even better athlete. What he's able to do at just like 6 foot, if that. But yeah, awesome game. Very impressed with Nebraska. I was not as high on them coming into the dance. I had them labeled as like somebody that I thought would be primed for an upset. But yeah, they've really, really impressed me and setting up for a very fun matchup with Iowa in the next round.
Hilarious that we're getting Nebraska, Iowa.
Part 3, which I don't think anybody had on their bingo card. But let's go to another special game, Arkansas High Point. We already alluded to it. Really high-scoring game. The offense in this one was ridiculous with Acuff and Rob Wright going back and forth. What do we see in this one as the Razorbacks move on?
Yeah, I mean, the Razorbacks continue to get help from their guys. It's not just Acuff.
Yeah.
And I think
they have 4 pros.
This is a trend that is turning into, the expectation for them. And they were a very trendy and, a lot of people picked them as like their sleeper team to make the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
If this was, if you only watched the SEC tournament and that's your expectation of like how they played, then you're getting proven right now, which I think doesn't happen a lot of the time. I want to see them get tested another game against the higher seed. I'm still not sure.
I want to see them play defense.
Yeah.
giving up 90 points to
Yeah.
High Point.
I'm not sure I'm fully bought in still that this team can make a Final Four run as I wasn't before the tournament. I'm still a little bit skeptical, but they've proven, like, their other guys on offense have proven it.
Yeah.
The first 2 games of the tournament still.
Yeah, obviously, like winning's the objective, and they are winning. But you don't feel great coming away from that game against High Point if you're them. I feel like, but I kind of just have to give it up to Cal a little bit because I mean, like I feel like at those last couple years, Kentucky, there were a lot of murmurs about the kind of coach he was, and like 2 straight years, 2 good showings in the postseason from his team.
Yeah.
I do give Cal credit for that, especially with how bad it was going at Kentucky in the tournament towards the end of his career there. But yeah, I'm excited to see them play someone a little better. That should be interesting. But you got to think they're not going to be able to turn this game against Arizona into a track meet the way they would like to.
No.
They got to defend.
Yeah, I'm glad, Beck, that you brought up the other guys because I thought that was especially apparent in this game. Malik Thomas is a special scorer, we knew that, and he was big in this one again. Billy Richmond special on both ends, Malik Ewan even. So they get stuff from other guys. But yeah, as we've said, I'm just worried about the defense of this team, especially against an Arizona team where I think the offense won't come nearly as easily for Acuff number one up against Braden Burries and Jaden Bradley. But just for the rest of this team, like I watched Malik Thomas earlier in the season in a few games, and especially in big games, I wasn't as impressed with him. I thought that sometimes he gets a little bit overconfident and a little bit too trigger happy, and that can kind of shoot them out of some situations. But yeah, if anything, the one thing I am starting to believe in is like Acuff can take you further than you think. And we've seen that. So like they have that star factor where they clearly have a special performer and a guy who steps up to the big moment. So that's like just an X factor in March, and we know that from years prior. So yeah, I come away kind of with two separate. Like on the one hand, I'm like this team has a special vibe to it. It's Coach Cal, it's Acuff, it's all the supporting cast that's starting to get hot at the right time. I think Trayvon Brazil's been awesome for them on both ends. But on the other hand, I just need them. I need to see them get stops, man. Like Cameron Fletcher and Rob Wright aren't like the 16 Warriors. So yeah, for Arkansas, I'm a bit back and forth with them, but we'll get to where I see them in the next round. St. John's outlast Kansas. That game was awesome. It was kind of a weird one because the Johnnies just jumped all over Kansas in the first half, and I kind of looked away from that game for a bit because I was at another game at the UVA Tennessee game. But all of a sudden, Kansas gets back in that one. Darren Peterson, not a super efficient scoring game, but I thought he was probably their most effective offensive player in that one. You get nothing from Trey White, and Melvin Council didn't really shoot the ball especially well. But St. John's, Bryce Hopkins huge in this one with 6 threes. Subi Ejiofor good as always. What do we think about this one and the Johnnies going forward?
I got to give a shout out to Izzo and Patino both. Felt like they both just coached such a good game, and that's why the game was so close. I felt like both coaches sorry, I said Izzo, I meant Bill Self.
Yeah.
Both coaches just absolutely understood their team's strengths and weaknesses, and St. John's, unfortunately, he can't shoot the ball a lick.
Mm-hmm.
And Patino knows that, and I feel like they both schemed up a perfect game plan to try and grind this one out because this game was an absolute grind. And I respect Peterson just letting it fly because no one else was putting the ball in the hoop. So I like that he kind of took it upon himself. Like if they're going down, it's going to be by his own hand. So I do respect that mentality. But yeah, and I thought another game where it's kind of weird defense on the closing play. I felt like they also let St. John's get a little bit of a head of steam.
Yeah, why is he able to get downhill there?
Yeah, like I don't feel like you had to be pressing up and pressuring the inbound that high. Like I would have much rather sat in the defensive set and like made them draw up a play and make a shot rather than just a guy sprinting down at the hoop throwing something up and maybe it goes in.
I feel like the corners just got to help on that too. Like
A
for
thousand
Yeah,
to
percent.
force them to
I
shoot.
think
If
they
you watch
trusted
it,
Marco Jackson too much in that
they
situation.
also like two guys kind of helped on the same guy, like Peterson and someone else like ran to the 3-point line at the same time towards the same dude. It seemed like there was a miscommunication there and that one of them absolutely was supposed to drop. So just a weird scheme. I don't know if it was on the players just getting it wrong, but I thought that could have been defended much better.
Good point on Peterson. Good on him for letting it fly because I mean White played like ass. It's
Yeah.
keeping a buck, man. It was absolutely terrible, and their guard play outside of Peterson was absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I feel like that was all he could do is let it go.
Kind
You're
of a theme this year,
you're right
Yeah,
though.
they're not good.
which is
Aside
part of
from
my. Well, Beck, I'll let you go, and then
It's just an astonishing number three shot by both teams, especially in the first half. Like I think St. John's shot like 33s in the first half.
yeah, Hopkins was just letting it fly, which was
Yeah,
kind of awesome. But yeah,
yeah, great finish. Gritty defensive game. I can't believe how much trouble St. John's gives teams on actually just inbounding the basketball. It's quite incredible to watch. And Kansas was a victim of that big time in this game.
yeah. On the Johnny side of this, I was impressed. Obviously, a great coaching performance from Patino, the bigs, Ejiofor and Hopkins. Everything lives and dies with them for the Johnnies. And you got a big performance from Ian Jackson off the bench, but like something about the offense is still pretty unsustainable to me for them, which gives me a little bit of pause going forward. But yeah, on the Kansas side of this has been my thing with them all year, and it's been weird because obviously DP's been in and out of the lineup, but they have 16 turnovers in this one. You don't get good performances from Council or Trey White. I know Council had some big buckets late to keep them in it, but for me, the whole Darren Peterson experience has been exacerbated by the fact that I don't think this was a very good Kansas team that he
no,
was on this
not at
year.
all.
And I've come to the point where I'm almost like having a little bit of enlightenment where I'm like, I kind of feel like my analysis of him has been colored by the fact that he has a couple of guards around him who are like non-factors in big games. And the spacing on this team was egregiously bad
I mean,
with
Brad,
Bryson Tiller
Bryson
and
Tiller. First of all, his name being Bryson
don't
Tiller. Holy shit! He plays 30 minutes and shot. Oh, like that's your cardio Tiller.
wow,
Yeah.
cardio Tiller.
Get your hands on the ball and do something, man.
And like I
30
like Flo
minutes, 0
Badunga, but like
points, two
yeah.
shots, 0 of 2, 1 assist. You're not doing anything out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like Flo Badunga. I think he'll actually be an impactful player at the next level. But like the spacing on this team was bad. Bill Self never really had DP and on ball creating scenarios, which was like he was basically a point guard in high school. And I thought it was weird that he wasn't creating more for them. And maybe just like he wasn't there.
You're exactly right. The guards are already so bad. Like, why not just put it in Peterson's hands at that point?
That's what I'm
Like, they're
saying.
not doing shit with the ball.
Yeah, so when it comes to that, and maybe it was, I guess we didn't bring up DP even when we were talking about our prospect stuff, but I'm coming back around to him maybe even being one. For one, I think the cramp stuff was just like I read the piece they wrote about it in the Athletic where he was literally hospitalized for the cramps leading into the season, and it was kind of a recurring issue with him. So that was a real thing where it wasn't just like him coming out of games because like he was saving his body because he wants to be in the NBA. I mean, it's partially part of it, but he genuinely had a medical situation going on.
And he
That
would have
was
tapped
like,
out of this game if that was even more
yeah,
of a
and like,
legitimate thing on that
no,
fall he had.
so like that getting that piece of it, getting more context there also factored into that for me is like, I'm starting to see the fuller picture where it probably wasn't 100% himself physically at any point this season, was on a team that didn't accentuate his best attributes as a basketball player. And so, like, if he is that player in high school that gave AJ DeBonta 61 and outdueled Cam Boozer and, like, was clearly head and shoulders above the rest of the pack, and then he's also just this shot maker where, like, even when he wasn't his full self, the shots he's hitting coming off screens, off pin downs, getting the ball in dribble handoff situations and shooting off the dribble. If that stuff's all just like accessories to an even more explosive athlete and an even better playmaker, then this is the best player in the draft. And I think we might be overthinking a little bit. The problem is we don't know for 100% certain that that guy is still there.
Yeah, even when he did play, the explosiveness was not the same as what it
Now,
was in high school.
right. Which, like, if you take him one, you're banking on the fact that it gets back to that.
Hmm.
And if you have the number one pick, I'm kind of the belief that if you think one guy's ceiling is like head and shoulders above the rest, then you take that guy. But DeBonsa did show me incredible things in the tournament and down the stretch of the season, especially when Saunders went down. What he was able to do playmaking wise, the defense when it mattered was incredible to me. So DeBonsa's ceiling rose for me down the stretch to the point where like I think you could convince yourself that the difference in their ceilings isn't different enough to outweigh all
The
the
questions.
uncertainty
Yeah.
with Darren Peterson. So for me, those two are the one and two pretty clearly.
Yes, I'm with
But
you.
I'm coming back to the point where I might just be DP's the best player in this draft.
I agree with a lot of what you said. I think throughout the year, I was always Peterson no matter what. Like even when I thought he might be faking the whole thing, I was still Peterson no matter what.
Honestly,
Well,
I'd respect it more if it was all faking.
well, that was your take
Yeah.
then. You were like,
Yeah.
"This is sick."
Yeah, I the athleticism, like the explosiveness stuff, I think that's the biggest worry because
Mhm.
while it seems like he had some cramping going on and who knows like what potentially else, it is weird for it to look that different. I mean, the fact that he was still as impressive as he was offensively at times this year while having like 70% of his bounce is extremely impressive as well. I'm kind of with you though. I think this was the first time I felt like sure that I'd take Dabonsa first after the tournament. I loved what I saw from him and pretty much same exact thing as what you said. Just it seems like their ceilings aren't as far apart
Yeah.
as we once thought. While Peterson's might be a little higher, there's really no question marks surrounding Debonsa, and he seems like a dog. Seems like he's got a good mentality too. So I've landed pretty firmly that I'd take Debonsa one. But yeah, it's I definitely don't think I'd take anyone above Peterson at two.
My question with Peterson more so is just like, why is a 19-year-old cramping in peak physical shape?
Yeah, well, they apparently it had something to do with that. They do Bill Self classically does this wild training camp conditioning thing where it's supposed to be nuts, like it's just known to be like,
Oh, heat culture.
yeah, literally like that kind of thing. And apparently, like he was fine throughout it. He was working with like an NBA trainer who was putting him through conditioning
Yes,
shit
probably
before
since
that.
like 12 years old.
Yeah, like at Dame Lillard's camp when he was in high school. He's dealt with tough conditioning, but like a week after this camp, apparently, his body just shut down. He got full body cramps. He had to go to the hospital, and then he had like recurring cramps throughout the season to the point where he wasn't trusting his body at all, and he was getting like
Yeah,
really freaked out all
that's
the
my
time.
concern. That's my concern. I kind of
Yeah.
it's not like the explosiveness itself. It's just the fact that what have we ever heard of a 19-year-old peak or athlete in peak shape have cramping issues?
I don't know. I mean, cramps are kind of tough. LeBron very famously had to get like carried off
Yeah,
the court
but
in his
so
prime.
that's a 1 day thing. Like this is over the course of like 3 months where he's cramps.
I but I feel like it wasn't just cramps, and we're just not getting the full story. But I don't think like I feel like a full off season to get your shit right and eventually go to your new team with and get shit in lockstep with the new training staff. Like I lean that he'll be all right.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about it, but I think also it's a big mental thing with him is like when he got hospitalized, he probably just was so terrified of that situation happening again, and just anything that felt anything like it probably spooked him. And he is also, I mean, there is the factor that he is thinking about the NBA draft. Whether or not he'll admit that, he probably won't. But I mean, he is thinking about preserving his body for the NBA. And I think, as Bill Self said himself in a presser, him being in and out so much, him not being able to practice basically for a lot of the season. I mean, I think at the end of the season, part of the athleticism difference we're seeing could also be due to him just not being in game shape because he's really not. He wasn't getting the conditioning that all these other guys were getting throughout the season, at least to the same extent. So, I mean, It's weird. It's one of the weirder prospect situations just because, I mean, we've seen guys get hurt going into the draft, but we haven't really seen it where it's like kind of like
Where you wonder if they're hurt or not.
yeah, and it's like people
Yeah.
questioning like his mental space and things like that. Like he called himself like an emo in a press conference. So
That's so sick.
yeah, he's such an interesting case, and like I think once he's like a fully fledged NBA player and we get like the full story and everything down the line, it's probably going to be cinema. But
Oh, he starts calling himself a vamp.
the vamp, he gives me big time Kawhi vibes, personality wise, and that's the other thing is like on the Bill Simmons pod, they were questioning his ability to be like a leader. But there was like no reports ever. Like everybody at Kansas loved him and he was very well respected and a hard worker, according
Yeah,
to
I mean, Bill's just trying to read between the lines there. That's
yeah. So I mean, I don't worry as much about that kind of stuff. There's also we've seen like Embiid's not a good leader. Like Shea wasn't like really a leader when he went to OKC and started becoming a star. I'm not as convinced as concerned about some of those external things as other
And
people.
also, especially when it's a 1 year stop, like he clearly never wanted to be in college, and like he shouldn't have to be. That's another discussion. Like I think they should let guys come out of high school, but whatever. But I'm not gonna get wrapped up in that if I'm an NBA team that a guy wasn't fully bought in, maybe for a place he was gonna be at for 10 months. Like, yeah, he was probably like, dude, I'm ready for the next thing,
Yeah,
and I can't really blame him.
yeah. I think I have an idea.
let's hear it.
That might be an issue to fix tanking. If
What
you're
high
if
school
you're a
and
team
NBA?
that if you're a team that tanks, cool. You can only draft people out of college, but we're letting people come straight out of high school.
Not a bad call.
You can only draft and then like with NIL, the college guys are only guys who have like been in college forever. So they're like the Braden Smith kind of guys.
It'd be
And you
so
can only
awesome.
draft those guys. It's a team of like Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer against like Darius Acuff. Yeah.
Hey,
I mean,
Adam, listen to me.
there's been worse ideas.
Uh,
But yeah, so I think for Peterson, it's all just kind of clearing some of this noise, and I think we'll also probably hear from him at some point during this draft process. I think it would suit him to kind of speak his piece on it. But let's get to the Sweet 16. We have some absolutely incredible games up and down this list. No Cinderellas, obviously, but I think that's kind of the nature of NIL is you're getting less of these mid-major stories and more just like great matchups up and down the slate. You get Purdue versus Texas is the opener. Texas, a 6.5 point dog. We had already mentioned that we like their odds in this one. Who are you guys going with here?
I like Texas. I think they're more talented. We went over
Wow.
that. I think they're a more talented team.
Are you saying Texas with the spread or
I'm taking them to win the game.
We're
Ryan.
going. We're just talking picks.
Okay.
I'm taking them to win the game. I trust more people to score the ball at the end of the day. I like Sean Miller. Think he's a gritty team, gritty coach. Just think they have more of the proof than Purdue, and I trust the talent more.
I'm
What
gonna
proves
go?
interesting.
Yeah, I disagree with that. I think they have nothing to prove. I think Purdue has everything to prove.
If you think they were a shitty basketball team like Hunter all year, how do you not have anything to prove?
Oh, I mean, sure, but I just like if Purdue loses again to like an 11 seed when they have a chance to make a run. I'm going back on my word. I'm gonna ride with the Boilermakers here. Agree with everything you guys said. I feel like Texas has looked great and has got hot at the right time. I just think that Purdue is more experienced and is going to figure out a way to win this game, kind of no matter what. Whereas I think Texas might run out of some magic here.
Yeah, I'm in a situation where I would take Texas spread, but I would take Purdue money line. I think
Agree.
I think Braden Smith, as I said earlier, I think against a lesser defensive team, Texas was not a good defense throughout the season. I think Braden Smith will get back to his regular season form and just clean up some of the turnovers. I think if he does that alone, this is probably a much easier game for Purdue than they've had thus far in the tournament. But yeah, I think Texas is going to give them a good game. I think their wings are going to be a real issue for Purdue just because I think Fletcher Lawyer's a good player. I think he's very solid. You can trust him. He's dependable. But Texas has very skilled wings and very athletic wings that I think could pose some matchup problems for Purdue. But I just think Kaufman Wren Clough and the guys for Purdue also that have just been there before. I just trust them a bit more than this Texas team. And I do think we're going to start to see some more of these blemishes come to surface for Texas.
I disagree heavily, man. I just don't think Purdue is like a 2 seed in talent at all.
But are they better than an 11 seed in talent?
I don't feel like there's a staggering. I can't really differentiate talent either way in this game, and yeah, especially in the NIL era where you would think it between a 2 and 11 it would be a vast difference. No.
Yeah, they're coached by Sean Miller with one of the bigger budgets in college basketball.
Exactly my point. It's that this is where you would see an 11 still make a run.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the best spot. Like this is the type of spot for an 11 to move on. I want to pick Texas really bad. I just really am not convinced, and I'd love to be proven wrong because I want this run to continue, but I'm just not convinced with the defensive stuff. But I mean, if their bigs play the way that they've played, they rebound the way they've rebounded, and these wings are able to just dominate and control the pace of this game, then Texas will win this game if those things happen. I just kind of predict a little bit of a return to form for Braden Smith, and then I just trust those guys more. But on the Purdue proving it thing, like Matt Painter to me has a world to prove because
that's where I was at.
I mean, I think he's well respected as like a good coach, but I don't know if anyone would put him in the elite tier
you gotta
of
do
coaches.
something.
And if he wins a title, his name goes in some of those conversations. But I mean, to this point, he's just kind of seen as like a good, not great coach who never really could get it done, even when he had great teams.
Yeah, I mean, Edey was back-to-back player of the year, if I'm not mistaken. And
yeah,
very disappointing finishes.
It's just, again, back to the Braden Smith. He has everything to prove, man.
Yeah.
I just pulled his turnover numbers. It's bad. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's not good.
He had 9 in 2 games last year. He's 10 in 2 games this year. He had 4 in 1 game in 2023 run, and he averaged 3 per game in their title run. So it's gonna be bad. It's gonna continue to be bad.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think this might be a game where it's not as much like Texas isn't a defense that, which is weird because I think Weaver's a great defender and they have length on the perimeter, but they just haven't been a very effective defense. And maybe all it takes is like a March run for them to really like ramp it up, which could 100% be the case. The more I talk about it, the more I like am leaning more that way. But yeah, I don't know. I just they've been there. I trust Painter. I think Sean Miller's a good coach, but I would also probably give Painter like a slight edge in that matchup.
Which is fair because, I mean, Sean Miller's never made a Final Four run.
Right.
So
yeah, and I just predict Texas a little bit of a more return to form. So, I mean, I think this game is going to be awesome. Let's go to Iowa, Nebraska, round 3. I did a TikTok and social thing for this earlier today where I did a deep dive on the previous matchups for this, which we'll get into. But who do you guys like here? Nebraska, 1.5-point favorite.
I like Nebraska. I mean, I had Troy beating them before the tournament started.
Yes, so did
But
I.
even watching that game, like that moved me. I kind of felt like they were a team of destiny, like from that game. They just have a vibe with them that I'm more moved by. And I feel like they played a legitimate team that I think was Final Four caliber in Vanderbilt. I kind of watching Florida, they feel very flawed.
Watching Florida?
Yeah. Iowa.
I'm less moved by Iowa moving on, even though it surprised the shit out of me.
Really?
Yeah. And even with Bennett Sturt's performance not being great in that Florida game and then still pulling it out, like Iowa's a good basketball team, don't get me wrong. I feel like there's more magic with Nebraska, cliche as it sounds, and I like their whole unit is much better than me. Like they have 6 guys that I really like the way
they're definitely a better roster.
Whereas Iowa, I don't feel like they're that deep.
I'm going Nebraska as well. Agree with a lot of what Beck said. Just this Nebraska crowd, it's genuinely special.
Electric, dude.
And
Electric.
I want to ride with that crowd. So I'm taking Nebraska to move on. The one thing that gives me a little bit of hesitation is obviously Iowa beat Florida, like super impressive win. But even in their first game, Sturtz has not had good games in really any of them shooting wise.
Yeah, efficiency.
So I feel like he's kind of due to explode a little bit. So that's my worry. But at the end of the day, I do think Nebraska is a little bit too deep. And if Sturts doesn't play well, like I don't really think they have a chance, which sounds crazy because they just beat Florida without him playing well. But I just like what I've been seeing from this Nebraska team and this Nebraska crowd.
I mean, to the Sturt's point of not shooting well, they might just come down to, again, like what we talked about with Braden Smith. There's too much on his shoulders. Man,
yeah.
That's kind of how
he's
I feel
also like,
Iowa.
yeah, he is the scouting report.
He's
for other
everything.
teams.
Yeah.
Like they're. I mean, if you watch the way that he's being defended, it is like they're just throwing bodies at him, and it's also like, so when I did my deep dive for this game, I went back and watched the full game highlights for these, and what I noticed was, like you said, Sturts didn't have like signature games, especially shooting the three. He didn't shoot the three well in either of these games. They won the first one in Iowa City in a rock fight, and he had 25, most of his points getting downhill. They have shooters, though, that I think even when he isn't going, the amount of gravity he has, especially his ability to get downhill, I think is like really undervalued. I think he is impressive. I watched him a ton at Drake, but like this season Iowa has really opened my eyes to the level of offensive engine he is pretty incredible. Like he literally is just the entire focal point of a defense. And he's kicking to Cooper Koch. He's kicking to Fulgaris, as we saw for the game winner. So, I mean, this is a team that I think has sort of caught, in a similar way to Texas, has like caught a spark, and like they're a team that makes a lot of sense to me with Tavion Banks, with I think it's Manyawa, the big man. They've been rebounding really well. They out-rebounded Florida, which really surprised me. They're very physical. Banks has been great in the short roll. Combs as like a secondary playmaker has been really fun. I really like this Iowa team. The problem is if Nebraska shoots the ball the way that they did in the second matchup, and that the way that they have early in this tournament, it's a really, really difficult matchup for Iowa because Rink Mast and Price Sanford, they really get busy.
I mean, they're a top 5 team in the country if they do that. They start this year 20-0.
They really get hot, and like we've seen these crowds. Like they're a team that feeds off the crowds, and obviously a way lesser version of. But you know the way you felt during one of those Warriors games where Steph and Clay are just getting so unfathomably busy, and it's just like it's like an energy. Like you know what I mean? Like they have kind of that feel to them when they're hot. But Iowa has the best player in the game, and I'm rolling with the Hawkeyes.
Wow.
Dude, Bennett Sturts is like, and it's so weird because he hasn't even really played that well.
I agree though. The gravity.
It's almost like it's almost the fact that he hasn't played that well and he's still this impactful has like impressed me more.
Exactly. That's like, what I'm scared of.
I think he's so good, and I think if he just like has a return to it keeps coming back to like return to the mean with me, but I think if he shoots more like he can shoot, then I think Nebraska's in big trouble, man.
I'd kind of be inclined to let him like
get busy
and not let these other guys get going.
I think we'll see what Hoiberg does. That's the other thing we haven't talked about with this matchup.
I would make him be the guy that has
make Sturts beat you, which is so funny. But like teams do that, and Hoiberg's an NBA guy, so like he thinks that way. Like he's not like a college coach where it's just like, you know, boxing one on the best player. Like he knows complex defensive schemes.
It's like how I feel like teams have kind of gotten to the Nuggets at times, is letting Jokic get 30, but not letting him get his 15, 20 assists.
Yes. Yeah. And that's been the Nuggets' issue this whole season, is that Jokic has honestly been too much of a scorer. And like that's not Jokic. Like that's not really like how he thrives. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be the coaching.
Awesome.
Dude, I love everything about this game.
And I mean, these are two teams that just got in chippy games. This is a close, like,
second one went to overtime.
Proximity, it's a rivalry. Like this,
the fans are gonna travel.
Yeah, there's gonna be a fight in this game. Like best game on the slate though. This is easily the one I'm most excited for.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be awesome. I'm on the Hawkeyes, but I started on Nebraska and then I kind of made my way to the Hawkeyes. I think Sturts being able to hit a few, even if it's just like he was 0 for 9 from 3, just a few more.
That's crazy.
He needs to hit a few more shots. But Tavion Banks had 20 and 6 against Florida. I think he's their X factor. What he's able to do out of the short roll, he can pass a little bit, he can get downhill, he can even shoot the 3 a little bit. So he'll be big for them. But yeah, man, I can't wait for that tip off. And then Arkansas Zona, another piece of theater. We have Darius Acuff and the boys going up against maybe the best roster on paper that we have left in college basketball. Arizona an 8.5 point favorite, a huge favorite in this one, second biggest spread. Who do you guys have in this one?
I have Arizona. After you told me Arizona is a team full of winners, and I had to kind of
Dogs.
think about my statements, do a little research, like why did I not have any belief in Arizona? And then I remembered,
Tommy Lloyd?
no. Short dude with the headband. Kerr Kriisa
Oh
was
yeah,
there
Kerr
for
Kriisa. Oh my
multiple
God.
years, and he was getting 30 minutes per game.
Yeah.
Listen, he's still in college, and he got 5 minutes per game this year at Cincinnati. He was a terrible basketball player, so that factored in a lot to like the disappointing Arizona finishes that I saw. And then I watched a good amount of them just to kind of get a feel for like what was I missing. And you're right. They have guys who make winning basketball plays. That Utah State game got really tight at the end for a second.
Yeah.
I think it was 4 point game with 3
Yeah, it
minutes
was
left.
close.
And then Arizona stepped on their neck in winning time, and it never felt like Utah State was even legitimately 4 points close. I like what I saw from Arizona. And I feel like this is a matchup that just bodes well for them.
Yeah.
Kind of think they could, if they stifle Arkansas early, I think it's off to the races. I think it's over. I think they win by 10 plus.
Yeah, Ryan?
I agree with everything you said. I think Arizona's definitely the play here, but I'm strictly going with Magic. I have
Let's go.
Arkansas in my Final Four, so I'm going to ride with Acuff till the wheels fall off, even though I definitely feel like they will be falling off against
Are you
Arizona.
hedging at all with your bets,
I'm
or?
I'm certainly playing both sides of the puzzle, but haven't determined my betting stances for the week. I feel like I'll be taking Arizona here, but I'll ride with Arkansas for now. I mean, it wouldn't be unforeseen that a player like Acuff can carry him through to the Elite Eight at worst. So I'm gonna go with the Razorbacks and Coach Cal.
Let's go. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I said this when we were doing our bracket, but I think a team like Arizona is like the team that I think the Acuff Magic stops being as big of a factor. It's like the matchup where like I watched Arkansas play, I believe it was Florida earlier in the year. Yeah, Florida. Oh wow, the score was even worse than I thought. I watched them play Florida at the end of the regular season, and Florida was able to kind of like neutralize Acuff and their guards' offensive impact. And the score in that one was 111-77. And I kind of think that Arizona, from like a roster and like personnel perspective, matches Florida more than the other teams that Arkansas has played to this point. And I think that they just have guards that they can throw at Acuff, and even wings like Karchenkov is a great defender on ball. They just have so much they could throw at Acuff, and if they can neutralize him, then I don't see how this game's close, to be honest. And I have Arizona as my title winner as well, so I gotta back my picks, man. But let's get to Houston, Illinois. This game gets on the Torvik thrill quotient, which is like Bart Torvik's way of saying how fun he thinks the game will be, or like how tight it'll be. This was 100, which I don't think I've ever seen. I've seen like
out of 100.
yes, I've seen like 98s, 97s. I don't think I've ever seen 100 on the Torvik thrill quotient. So this is like basically gonna be the cinema of all cinemas. This matchup is so fun to me. Houston's a 3.5 point favorite here. Two NBA draft, maybe like top 6 prospects with Kingston Flemings and Keaton Wagler. Who do we like in this one?
Toughest game to pick.
It's impossible
Bar none.
to make.
Bar none. Toughest game to pick. I lean Houston just because, like, a stretch in that VCU game really scared me from Illinois, where they just turned the ball over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's dumbfoundingly bad turnovers. And that's the stretch where VCU, like, takes the lead for a second, I think, or ties the game early in the first half. Look, I think Houston can get you in situations like that throughout the game, where it's like, why does Illinois' offense look so anemic and lifeless? But there's so much talent on the Illinois offense where I feel dumb for even saying that. And if they come out and score 80, I won't be surprised. But I think Houston can make this a defensive game enough where I trust their experience. I trust Sampson's pedigree in the tournament more than what's the Illinois coach's name?
Brad Underwood.
Yeah, more than his, because Illinois never made a run to even the Elite Eight under him, if I'm correct. I think if Houston makes this a game in the 60s, I would pick them 85% of the time if you told me that's where the score finished before the game started. And I think there's a better likelihood it finishes there than anywhere like mid 70s and above. So I'm going Houston.
Yeah, Ryan.
Like you guys said, this is such a tough one. I could see this obviously either way completely. For betting, I can definitely tell you I'll be taking the 3.5 with Illinois for sure, just because I feel like this is two very even teams that just give me any help I can get with the points. I'm also going to take Illinois to win the game here, though. Even though I said I definitely underestimated Houston because I'm still angry about them losing, I'm going to continue doing the same thing. And I
Let's
liked
go.
Illinois. Wanted to pick them Final Four. Ultimately, pussied out. So this is my apology. This is my apology to Illinois here. I'm going to roll with them against Houston.
Sounds like Ryan's picking Houston to win after we recap
Yeah.
these games to Friday night.
Let's go.
Probably.
Yeah, Beck, I think what you said about if Houston's able to make this game low scoring and make it a grit fest and just kind of use their intensity defensively and scheme, I think you're 100% dead on there. I also think that Illinois themselves are a great defense. So this isn't just like a team that's going to score. This isn't like Alabama, I guess is my point. Like they're not just going to score like 100 and then also give up 98. This is top 20, top 25 defense in the country. So I have concerns kind of on both sides that way where I'm like, if Illinois make it difficult for Houston to score, then I struggle to see how Houston wins that game. And then if Houston clamps Illinois, obviously that favors them. So like I think this game's won on the defensive end. And I just the like you said, Kelvin Sampson, I just trust so much in March, especially in the Sweet 16. In the later rounds, I get a little bit more spooked about Houston, obviously, given their recent history. But Illinois was a team throughout the season that I thought was good, not great. And every time they played in a big game, I came away a little bit disappointed. And I don't want to let like a few good games in March Madness color my perspective on
I mean,
them.
they haven't really been tested yet.
Yeah. So they
Like
played,
VCU wasn't a test.
neither was Penn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I go through their games and they get the good early win with against this was an outstanding win over a JT Toppin Texas Tech team when he was healthy. They beat them. They get a big win over my cardiac Colgate Raiders. So no, but they get a win over Tennessee. They get a win over. They beat Missouri by basically 50, which is not not a great team, but a good team. They beat Iowa, Purdue, Nebraska. So they have good wins. But in some of their biggest games, Michigan State loss, two Wisconsin losses, Michigan loss, Nebraska, they also lost to them once. UConn, they lost by double digits. Bama, they lost. It's just a lot of those big primetime type of games, they just didn't quite have enough.
They feel more liable to shoot themselves in the foot, too. That's what scares me with them. It feels like they can take themselves out of good offense. It doesn't even have to be Houston.
It's they're relying a lot on freshmen with Wagler and Mirkovic. I know Fleming's on the other side is a young unproven guy, and Sanak, but I just trust the Houston Cougars in the Sweet 16 more than I do this Illinois team. So I'm gonna roll with Houston, but this is the one where I expect to be wrong on, like no matter what I do. So I'm just excited to watch it. Let's move on to Duke St. John's. Duke's a 6.5 point favorite. Obviously, we haven't seen the best version of Shire's Blue Devils yet. Boozer, we already talked about, hasn't been his best self, even though the stats might look a little bit better. Could have Caleb Foster back in this one. I think Shire alluded to it a little bit. We'll have to see on that one. But who do we have in this one?
Go ahead. Somebody else.
Ryan?
Wow, I'm shocked. I thought Beck was gonna.
I thought he's going to be all on the Johnnies.
Take the Johnnies real quick, but I guess that's gonna be me because I'll be taking the Johnnies in this one. I especially spread. I think this is like the easiest bet of the weekend, which probably Duke rolls by 15. But I'm gonna roll with the Johnnies. I like what they've shown, even though you definitely question their shooting. Not certain about all that, but I question what I'm seeing from Duke as well. Like we said, we haven't seen exactly greatness out of them through two, even though it looks like they won by a ton against TCU. The game
much closer than the score.
The game should have been closer than the score. The refs were a little bit insane, but I'm gonna roll with St. John's. For some reason, I just have this
Patino magic.
Patino, yeah. I just have this image of Patino kind of running through this tournament, so I'm gonna roll with him.
Beck?
Tough one to pick because on one hand, I know the St. John's defensive pressure is just going to give Boozer trouble, man. It's going to give this whole Duke team trouble. I know that's going to happen. On the other hand, I know they're going to struggle to shoot.
Yeah,
Eh,
Duke's defense is really good.
And I know that there's probable cause to believe that the refs probably hijacked this game too. So for that reason, I'm going Duke. I'm really scared to pick St. John's, knowing that the refs are probably in their back pocket and St. John's doesn't have the shot making ability to really overcome that.
That's hilarious. Picking Duke and throwing the dagger in that it's only because the refs will be winning them the game. That's greatness right there.
I'm kind of shocked that you went Duke in this spot.
I'm not a big Patino guy.
Wow.
I wasn't
fair enough.
I'm never really like St. John's wasn't a team I was very excited about. That I think their defense is electric.
Yeah.
But either way, like this is an underwhelming 1-5 matchup to me. Like I feel like both these teams aren't really that great.
Interesting.
Compared to the rest of the field in this tournament. Like put these teams in matchups against other teams in other regions, taking the other team.
Yeah. I mean, I do think there's a chance that this game ends up being much uglier. Like I think there's a lot of headlines in this one. It's Shire, Patino, it's Duke and the Johnnies in DC. Like it's a big.
Every Duke championship run has beat St. John's.
What
a weird stat.
Yeah, that is a really strange one. But two huge brands, two huge fan bases. The stadium will be rocking. I do think this game could be much uglier than maybe people think. But yeah, I'm gonna roll with Duke in this one. I was all in on St. John's, like at the end of the Duke TCU game. Like you could have taken my money right then. I was gonna put the house on the Johnnies in that one. And then I watched the Johnnies Kansas game, and even though St. John's came away with the win in that one, I didn't come away very impressed with St. John's at all in that.
Yeah.
I don't think Bryce Hopkins is going to hit 6 threes in this one. Not really something he's done in the past.
Yeah, and I was checking. If you take his threes out of it, I believe they were about 5 of 25 from deep.
Yeah. So I'm really,
I don't like that formula for them putting up that many shots. It's just not good.
I'm just really spooked by it. I also think Zuby Ejiofor is their guy. They go as he goes. Like Hopkins is great. He was great dating back to when he was at Providence, but Zuby Ejiofor is their guy. And I think Cam Boozer probably hears a lot of the shit that people like us are saying. And this is a matchup that I think I could see him taking pretty personally. Another like big name, big man.
He needs to, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
well, we saw what he did.
To win this game, I feel like he needs to, especially if the injuries don't come in with reinforcements.
Yeah, he'll take it personally at the free throw line when he's 12 of 14 for free throws.
Go back. So special. He only took 5 free throws against TCU.
We don't care. Where's my whistle? I'm going to actually order a whistle right now. So next spot I can come on here.
You had that on the pod. That would be so special. But the other thing I wanted to talk about, and Ryan, you just touched on it, the injury reinforcements. If Caleb Foster is back in this game, the discrepancy in guard play is going to be huge in this one between Duke and St. John's.
Yeah, I definitely don't feel good about picking St. John's if they are back. I'm kind of assuming that they won't be.
Well, Gongbo was back in the TCU game. He obviously had foul trouble, so he didn't play a ton. That's the other thing I was going to get to is I think not just Booz alone against Ejiofor. I think Booz, Malik Brown, and Gongba against Ejiofor is going to pose a lot of problems for the Johnnies front court. And the front court is St. John's. Like that is their team. And if they're neutralized, I don't know how they win this game. But I mean, Booz could also play horribly the way he did for all of the Siena game for the most part and for most of the TCU game. And Ejiofor could get off. And at that point, the Johnnies could win this one. But I'm going to roll with Duke. I'm going to trust that, A, Gongba's healthier now in his second game back, and B, I just think Duke's roster, aside from the front court, is just better than the Johnnies at those other positions. So
John Shire needs to prove himself in this game.
He does, by the way. I mean, we were talking about it in the chat in some of these big moments in the postseason in the past few years.
Is
when
he
it gets to these big
any different than
games,
Hubert Davis?
That's a take. For sure.
I mean, Hubie has been to I feel like Hubie's got a little crazy.
Hubie went to a natty.
He did go to a natty.
And he got them into the tournament as a 1 seed. They lost to a really good Alabama team. Like, that was a really good Alabama.
Oh, yeah. You mean last year, yeah.
No, 2 years ago.
Or 2 years ago. Yeah. Yeah, he also did miss a tournament with UNC.
Yeah, no,
Certainly.
it hasn't
As
been
the
good, but
preseason
like
number one.
I feel like it's definitely not as bad
Yeah,
as people say. And if
Yeah,
you
sure.
compare
kind of with you, Beck.
you
Sure.
compare
No,
Shire's like or way of getting the job is exactly the same as Davis, and a lot of
oh
people have
yeah,
an issue
yeah.
with that.
It's like
So
a nepotism
yeah,
by way of
yeah.
being in the organization thing. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think Shire has a ton to prove, and like the way that Duke has lost to in tournaments under Shire has been nervy and kind of like they were the best team in college basketball last year.
One of the
They were
best teams ever in
Yeah,
college basketball.
metrically one of the best teams of all time. They were up, what was it, 5 with a technical foul with a minute left against Houston, and they end up losing that game just inexplicably.
And you
The
have by far the two best rookies in the league. Like you don't really
Yes,
see that usually
I
when
think
the
in a
Yeah,
rookies
redraft they
from a
would have
team
the
are this
two
good.
best
Yes.
players
that's what
in
I'm
that
saying.
draft.
Like, clearly, those guys are like who we thought they were, like, and even more. Maybe you could say with Knippel. So, like, that's not a great look. Not making,
Yeah,
not winning the
Yeah,
fucking thing
I think
last year.
them not winning the title last year is a massive indictment on Shire's legacy, and like I think over time that is even just going to look crazier and crazier when we see because
Hmm.
I think Cian James is going to end up having a good NBA career. I even think Malawach is going to eventually be a real NBA player, and it's going to look bad. So yeah, Shire's got a ton to prove. He's facing a coach who's been there, done that. So there's factors of this game that don't go in Duke's favor. But yeah, I'm just gonna go with them. I think they're more talented. I think they're the better basketball team. Let's go to Michigan, Alabama. These two teams have been dominant to this point. Yaxel Landenborg is looking ridiculously good. He looks like somebody from Space Jam right now. Bama gave Tech absolute work in that game, which I think has gone a little bit under the radar. I think obviously Toppin was out for Tech, but they were still a good basketball
I
team
mean,
down the
yeah,
stretch.
that was an insane ass
And
whooping, dude.
Bama made them look pedestrian. Like
Like
they
they
made
didn't
them look
belong there.
bad. Yeah, and LeBaron Philon is really, really good. He's an NBA guy. This Bama team's good. They're looking better defensively in the past few games. Is there any chance that the Tide can pull this one off? What do you guys think?
Absolutely. Michigan didn't look great in the first round.
Mm,
Like
right.
Howard gave them issues. They're very front line dependent. I love Dusty May. I think Alabama scoring ability, if they're able to get hot, like this is gonna be a game. It's just undeniable. But the range of outcomes in this is it's a very
Yeah,
tight
this
game,
is
or it
yeah.
could be a blowout. And I
Well,
don't know
yeah.
where it's one of the two outcomes. I just don't. It really depends on if Alabama's hot shooting the ball, and that's hard to predict in the tournament, especially with the team that jacks up threes like this. So I mean, Michigan's my national title pick. I'm gonna ride with them, but I'm telling you, if Alabama is able to shoot the ball, and this is a grimy game, or not a grimy game, a close game late, I kind of lean Alabama in that situation.
Really?
Yes,
You like yeah. Well,
that's
you
because
got the
I
Oats
think
factor too.
superb shooting ability. If they have it going, I think they will be able to get the shots they want at the end of the game. Whereas Michigan, I could see Yaxel getting tight in a game like that. Or just a team that's any team that's big dependent, like Florida kind of was. They're wing and big dependent. If a game's tight at the end, I don't trust the
I don't
process of get shot making ability as much as I do with a team that's guard dependent and shoots the ball well.
That's fair.
So
That's a fair
that's where I
philosophy.
said on that.
Yeah. So you're on the Wolverines, but you're skeptical, I guess.
Yes.
All right, Ryan.
I'm kind of with Beck. I just think the 10.5 is a bit disrespectful, like for like a four
That's
seed and how good Bam. So this is another one where if I'm betting this, I'll probably be taking the Bama side of it just with the 10.5.
that's a lot of
I see
points.
the logic where it could be a blowout, definitely, because Bama doesn't shoot well. They're gonna just get absolutely ran out of the gym. But like they're shooting it well right now. They just embarrassed Texas Tech. So I'm gonna roll with Michigan to win, but this is one that I'll definitely be taking the points on.
Yeah, it definitely caught my eye, the line. I think it's interesting because Michigan for like 25 to 30 games looked like the greatest college basketball team ever and was just beating everyone by 40. And then they sort of started, I think that Duke loss on a neutral site in late February started to kind of bring them down to earth a little bit. And people kind of started to see some of the flaws. I think Elliot Cadeau, Beck, as you said, their guards, Elliot Cadeau, I think is a guy who, when he was at UNC, couldn't shoot, and we saw Nate Oates in that matchup with UNC and Bama. He let him take anything he wanted, and they won that way, letting him shoot and letting him try to beat them. He shot the ball a lot better this year. He's 38% from three. But yeah, the guard play for Bama, I mean for Michigan, I think would be the part, especially with LJ Case and obviously towards ACL, would be the part that you'd worry about. I do like McKennie and Burnett though off the bench for them. I think they're really good, and Bama can really, really score the ball. And they have like it's not a gimmicky, fast-paced offense that's just really shooting dependent and can go ice cold. They have an offensive engine in LeBaron Philon who is this is reproducible scoring. Like this is a system that you have a Nate Oates who is an offensive guru. You have an offensive engine in Philon who is going to set up his teammates, is going to get his own. He's one of the best off the dribble shooters that we've seen in college basketball in quite some time. So yeah, it's a great, great offense.
He's better than Sears.
I think he projects to be a much better NBA.
Yeah,
NBA
that's a college
prospect.
player though. Like
Sears was such a special scorer in college, but I think Philon's just so much more complete, and he's not like gonna get hunted on defense the way that Sears was. So yeah, personally for me, I'm taking Philon over him, and Bama fans would probably chop my head off for saying that, but yeah, I think in the front court, this is just an insane mismatch to me. Like Merez Johnson, Ade Mara, Yaxel, and even Shatter off the bench. Like maybe it's a situation where Florida, Iowa, where like it just doesn't end up being the advantage we think. But I don't know. I don't see how Bama wins this game, but I can see how they keep it close. So I'm gonna roll with Michigan, but like you guys, I think Bama's got some juice.
Nate Oates, one good run, by the way. It's really what he's just one
So
good run.
are you an Oates skeptic?
Yes, in the tournament, yes.
Well, I know you're a Dusty believer. All right, so let's get into the coaching matchup of that one actually before we move on. Because I want to bring this up when you said if it's a close game, you lean Alabama. Because I was going to go to the coaching there. Coaching would also be a huge factor in an end of game situation. Say it's the Florida Iowa situation where you get like it comes down to one or two plays. Which of these coaches do you trust more in that situation?
It's a great question. I told you with my answer that I trust Alabama more.
Yeah, Beck,
So
you're such a Dusty believer.
yeah, I mean, you backed me into a corner. I trust the players on the court, and this is independent of coaching. So fuck you for your question. I'm kidding.
Fuck you for your question.
But yeah, no, I'm just got the goal of Nate Oates' history. I think his offense in the clutch would be great because he's a great offensive coach.
Mhm.
Do I think he schematically has any, thing that he's up his sleeve for Michigan and their bigs on defense? No. It would just be a factor of them not playing well. And again, I don't love the process of bigs getting shots in big moments. Michigan, the way they went out last year was they played a lot through Vlad, and I feel like they were too Vlad dependent in a who'd they lose to in the was it Sweet 16 or early date last year? Was Auburn the team they lost to? Or am
Yes.
I
Yeah.
yeah.
They all saw him right
Yeah.
13. Yeah.
Yeah. And it came down to Vlad getting the ball in like the low post, and it was a lot of turnovers there. Like I'm just bigs can just be indecisive by nature, and if the game's tight, it's something I don't love. So that's why I said I would trust Alabama in a situation that's close more than Michigan. But I think that's independent.
So that's more of
coaching.
like you're more of like just like you trust guards.
Just more being a big
Yeah.
in your head case.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a good point. Like the formula for Bama beating Michigan is similar to the formula for Auburn beating. Obviously, Auburn was a one seed and it was kind of a different situation, but like it's similar to the formula for how to beat them last year, which is like if they are going to be dependent on bigs and their backcourt's not playing well, then you have a good chance. So that's a formula for Bama. It's just if the bigs are just that dominant against Bama, which is not a great front court, in my opinion, then I don't think it'll be a factor. But if it just comes down to, Philon's getting his and, Ade Mara's struggling, it looks like kind of janky. Yaxel's not shooting the ball well, then yeah, I mean, it could get messy here. So let's move to UConn MSU, another East Region thriller. We got Hurley, we got Izzo. UConn's a 1.5 point favorite. What you guys got in this one?
I'll let you gentlemen go first again.
Ryan?
This is another one. I feel like I don't even have that much to say on this one because it's such a toss up and such a 50-50 shot. For me, I'm going to roll with UConn on it. Hurley's been the better coach of late, probably had better teams of late, but yeah, I'm going to I really don't know which way to go on this one. So I'm just going to pick the team that's been better in March lately and the coach that's been better in March lately. Truly think this one could absolutely go either way, though, but I'm going to take UConn.
Yeah. Beck?
Hunter, floor is yours.
Yeah, no, I always make you guys go first because it gives me like a full 5 minutes to make my pick. No, but this was one that I was fully UConn, like without a shadow of a doubt, and like didn't even think about it. And then the more I thought about the matchup, the more spooked I got about that pick. I still lean UConn, similar to you, Ryan. I do think that they have not gotten basically anything out of solo ball. They've got inconsistent performances out of Braylon Mullins, and they were able to come on late against UCLA in that game I was at. But I just think that I trust them a little bit more than I do Michigan State, especially scoring the basketball. I worry that Michigan State's offense can be a bit of a slog. And if they don't get good shooting performances from Cone Carr, if Jackson Kohler kind of gets neutralized by the UConn bigs, then I start to worry about what that looks like for them down the stretch. And I'm not as high on the talent of this Sparty team as I have been about previous Sparty teams.
I mean, they're always to do more with less.
Yeah, that is true.
That's Izzo.
That is true. And no coach, I did a deep dive before the tournament. No coach has outperformed their seed more than Tom Izzo has over the last 25 years. And it's not really particularly close. I think it was him and then like Roy Williams and somebody else. So, I mean, Izzo is the guy to get this done, especially in a matchup like this. But I lean UConn. I think they're the better team here.
Before the tournament, I said this Michigan State team, they're nothing special. That's exactly what makes them special.
Let's go.
After watching this game, like they are an embodiment of what makes Tom Izzo, like why people say he's great, why people think he's great, and why I ultimately think he's great as well. Like this will be his going out run. I feel like I can.
Yeah, it could be the end.
I feel like the murmurs of that, like it might not be his last year, but this is the last long run I think he has in the tournament. And I'm kind of feeling that special, feeling build up, and they're going to make a Final Four run
here. Wow, let's go.
So Hurley's a great coach.
Spoil your pick for next pod too. Let's go.
Well, I mean, I told you I don't think Duke or St. John's are on shit. So
yeah,
by default.
So you're on Sparty here.
Yes, gonna be a great game. Hurley's a great coach too. Mm-hmm. A lot of the sets he drew up in that UCLA game, like, oh my God, fucking special. Like they had a triple pin down that he ran. Like he's gonna scheme guys open. There's gonna be cool shit done. But this Michigan State team is like just so ragtag. They're so ragtag. Not a good shooting team by any stretch of the imagination. Just not a good offensive team. But I think it's so cliche and so stupid, but like 50-50 balls and hustle plays, I think they will dominate in this game. And that's just players going all out for their coach and, knowing that their talent is not something that they're going to win off by strictly.
Let's go.
And I feel like UConn has more talent, and that's something that they don't rely on as much. And the belief of Michigan State right now, I think, is something I want to be on the side of. So I'm going Michigan State.
Let's go. Let's go. Back with a boomer take for his pick. No, I think it's fair. Let's move to Iowa State, Tennessee. We know who Ryan has here. Beck, who do you have?
Just off the rip, like this to me is easily the least.
Yeah, it's the least eye-catching.
Yeah. I'm just not interested in this matchup. I'm sorry. Like Rick Barnes in the tournament.
Beck hates basketball.
Yeah, I hate Rick Barnes. I don't really trust Iowa State in the tournament ever. I still don't know particularly much about Iowa State from these first two games because it's like, fuck, man, you played a 15 seed and then Kentucky. Like I didn't learn much from either of these games. I just learned that the opposition wasn't on shit really. And that could be the case here too because I don't think Tennessee is a particularly strong team. I didn't like Virginia as a 3 seed. Like I hated this whole side of the region. I really did. I didn't like any team making the Elite Eight out of that bottom part of the bracket. Just give me Iowa State. Like Rick Barnes just doesn't do it, man. Never does it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
Ryan.
fuck it, I'm going Iowa State.
totally agree. I'm not impressed by Tennessee. I mean, good win against Virginia, but I also didn't think Virginia was all that good either.
They didn't
So
beat one good team all year.
one of them's got to advance, and Tennessee has Rick Barnes. And at the end of the day, I still think even though they haven't really played anybody, they've beaten the brakes off of two teams, and hopefully they get Jefferson back. Even if not, I'm still taking Iowa State though.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was at both the Friday games in Philly and the Sunday game, so I got to see a ton of Tennessee up close, and they had a really impressive performance Friday against Miami of Ohio. Say what you will about that team, they were shockingly bad for me.
The team sucks.
They
The team
were.
sucks.
I mean,
and it
it
always
just.
has sucked.
I honestly, I genuinely felt a little bit bad because I was sitting near the Miami of Ohio alumni section, and they were amped before the game, filling into the arena. I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be like a fun atmosphere.
Nope,
Nah,
you're out
they
of the
had
game.
they had literally zero
No business on the
to
court.
clap for. It was silent in that arena. That game was Tennessee dominated so much that game was boring by halftime. That was not a basketball game.
That's a brutal watch.
Yeah, it was tough. Jacoby Gillespie got so busy though in that one, and that's kind of what I want to get to.
Yeah, he did.
Tennessee has some guys that are special. Jacoby Gillespie, their point guard, he runs the show. He's the engine of this team. He can score the shit out of the basketball. It's step back threes, it's logo threes, it's getting in the lane, it's being crafty.
Amet though.
Nate Ament, okay. I have a little bit of trouble with the way that Nate Ament's been covered during March Madness because he was not good in the Miami Ohio game. He didn't really need to be, but he wasn't good.
He didn't score.
Kind of just a non-factor. He had 16 in the second game on efficient shooting. He had a massive block in the second half that was big. I think he's gotten a little bit too much shit. He's an impactful player. I think this matchup is really bad for him, though. I think Iowa State, the type of team they are, to me, I hate calling guys soft, but Nate Ament feels a little bit soft. And this just feels like a gritty Iowa State team that plays really hard. They play great defense. They're going to pressure you. They're going to make you think a lot. I think this is a really, really tough matchup for him. I think he's going to really struggle. And that's kind of where I land on this game, especially if Joshua Jefferson plays. I think they're just going to clamp Tennessee. It's so much Gillespie doing all the work for this offense. I lean Iowa State, even though I do think that they looked really, really mortal against Kentucky. And for a long stretch there, I had some major red flags with that team. But I just think Momcilovic, Lipsy, if you get Jefferson back, I trust this Cyclone team. I think TJ Otzelberger is a great coach. So I'm going to roll Cyclones. Beck, I saw you feverishly doing some research. What do you got for us?
No, Rick Barnes has made the Elite Eight the last 2 years. That's where he caps out at, though.
Congrats,
And,
Rick.
and it's where he historically caps out at. But just food for thought.
Just food for thought. Let's go. Yeah, so we're all in the Cyclones there. I thought at least one of us was going to pick Tennessee.
I'm not betting on that game.
Yeah,
I don't feel good either way.
for me.
But I'm also not interested. I'm not interested enough to bet on either of these teams either. It's not like one I'm like,
yeah, it's definitely
money.
yeah, yeah, take my fucking money. But I'm pretty confident in Iowa State. I think I saw what I needed to see.
Which
The
makes
other
me
thing,
so scared.
yeah, the other thing I should mention about Tennessee is they're the best offensive rebounding team in the country, and they have a lot of frontline depth with Estrella and with Akpara. Those bigs can be a problem for Iowa State, and I think that's the formula for them to win this game on the Tennessee
I feel like
side
that's
of this.
always been a strength. My thing with Tennessee is it feels like the way to beat a Rick Barnes team never changes. It really doesn't.
It's
Like
the
they
same thing
always
with
have the same strength every
Yeah.
year, and it's been this way for like 10 years now.
That's the problem with those. Like he's like a little bit a tier below, but he's like the Tony Bennett, Kelvin Sampson kind of coach. They're gonna be a top 10 defense. The offense isn't gonna wow you. They're gonna have bigs for days. They're gonna have depth, and they'll probably be Sweet 16, Elite 8 kind of team. And that's just what they always are. So I think we know what we get from them. Like they're not gonna have a complete stinker. They're well coached, and Bishop Oswald is good for them too. It's another good guard for them. But something about them, I just feel like they got really tight at the end of that UVA game. That was a game that they controlled for the most part throughout, and then
Hmm.
really fucking clenched up squeaky bum time towards the end of that game. And if you do that against a better team in Iowa State, who essentially is UVA if they were like 20% better, yeah, I
I
don't
mean, yeah,
see.
Iowa State actually has legitimate. Like Virginia didn't beat a good team all year.
Yeah, I mean UVA. I said this about the ACC. I thought everybody was kind of talking about how they thought the ACC was back this year. I was really skeptical.
Yeah, I mean, they sent what, 8 teams to the tournament, and Duke's the only one left. Is
They're
that
the
right?
only. Oh yeah, wait. This is another stat I had for you guys. So Beck, another apology. I know you had the
Yeah,
Fletcher lawyer. Or no, that was Ryan. Ryan, the Fletcher lawyer
Hmm.
apology. We have another apology due here.
fade the Big Ten.
Made the Big Ten. There are 6 Big Ten teams remaining in the
Yeah.
Sweet 16.
Special.
Anything there?
Yes, I think I apologize pre-bracket with my bracket or pre-tournament with my bracket
Yeah, you did
and
have a
my
lot of
picks.
different picks. Yeah, in your own bracket.
I mean, I had Michigan winning it all in my first version or my second version. Wisconsin going to the Final Four, my first version. Like, I apologized with my actions.
Wow. It's like
No,
speaking to a
but
parent.
no, Nebraska, a team that truly shocked me, and I felt it, first
Yeah.
half of the first game. Iowa, a team I penciled in to win the first game and then just lose the Florida. Like I wrote them off, didn't do enough research on their, potential ability as a sleeper. Like Illinois, I think I retroactively in the pod kind of turned myself around on. Yeah, they're gonna have to
Not
prove
shocked by them being
Yeah,
here though.
yeah, I had them this far, but they're clocking out after this. I'm sorry. Yeah, they're one team. If they win, I'll be genuine. I'll be pretty shocked that they beat Texas. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. The last thing I wanted to do was we prepared some winners and losers of the first weekend. I think some of them you can kind of guess by our discussion here. It won't be very surprising. But whoever wants to lead off, give me one winner and one loser of the opening weekend.
Go
I'll
ahead, sir.
my quick ones, just because I feel like they're obvious. So I'll take the easy ones and let you guys figure it out. But I feel like the winner's got to be Texas. From first four, 11 seed, you win 3 games. You're in the Sweet 16 with what Beck would say a very winnable game against Purdue. I feel like that's got to be the one that stands out as the only double-digit team still here. And my loser, I think it has to be Florida to me. There really hasn't been too many big upsets, so they're definitely the one that I think is going to stick out and already does stick out when you look at the way the bracket's shaking up with all the 3 seeds, all the 2 seeds, all the 1 seeds, and they're the one lone team that's out of there. So that comes away being the lasting impression for me.
Yeah, Beck.
The winner is Nebraska. I mean, you hadn't won a NCAA tournament game
Yeah.
before last Thursday, before the last time we did this pod.
It's the best team in their history.
Yeah,
Now you're sitting here with the chance
great
against
pick.
a rival that's a 9 seed. I mean, this region is potentially yours now. Like you have a game that you're
Yeah,
favored to win,
seriously.
Yep.
and then you got one more game to get to the Final Four. From a team that didn't win a tournament game to a team that's potentially in the Final Four by the next time we do this podcast. Extremely special. You are definitely the winner, and you got a fan base that's behind you in the next 2 games as well. Like you're in a good spot here. That's the winner. Loser, Cam Boozer. Sorry, man. You're in a game. You're playing for your draft stock next game
Let's go.
when you had a guy who was dealing with cramps and like attitude issues the whole year. And I think the whole world right now would take Darren Peterson over Cam Boozer. And if Cam Boozer drops a stinker in this game, like the fact that he has stakes in this game, like if he has a stinker, he potentially goes outside the top 5, in my belief. That's crazy. It's unreal. Like the loser of this weekend so far is Duke as a whole, John Shire and Cam Boozer especially though.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you said Nebraska. I had Fred Hoiberg on my list. The, the fact that we all came in, I know Beck, you and I both picked Troy. We were all very pessimistic about the ceiling of this team. And I mean, you laid it up. They have Iowa, who they're going to be favored over a team they know well, a team nothing's going to surprise them about Iowa. And then you have Houston or Illinois. It could be another conference game in the Elite Eight, another team that you know, and another team that you've already beaten this season to get to a Final Four. It's a magical season, a special season. That's an awesome pick. I had a few names on my list, but I think the one I'm going to roll with here is and I'm surprised neither of you said this, but Darius Acuff and his draft stock mostly. I think people knew how good he was, but I think the rest of America is getting to see kind of the height and sort of just how special of an offensive initiator he is. And I know I said that I personally have some question marks about,
Yeah.
shooting him up my board, but from the conversations I've heard, not just on this pod, but in NBA draft discussions, the fact that we're having a conversation about him moving up above Cam Boozer at all, I think he's a huge winner of the start of this.
I agree. It's a win for his brand, 100%. Like,
Yeah, you just got a Reebok deal with AI.
I'm not like, I feel like as much as we hear about, how great he is offensively, like the defensive concerns have been publicized just as much with this run for him. I'm not sure if that has helped him. Obviously it's helping his draft stock, but I feel like the defensive concerns put a ceiling on how far he can rise, especially with how loud.
Casino ball.
Yeah, his detractors are very fucking loud too.
Yeah, for sure. But I just think like the media storm, everything around Acuff right now, the 36, obviously.
It's just different than it is like 11 years ago with like a Shabazz Napier though. Like,
yeah,
if
we'll
Shabazz
never,
Napier did this
right
in 2026, like
people are too like analytics brain now, and we're too future. Like we're all concerned with like even the Boozer thing. If Cam Boozer had 2011 in 2004 and Duke won a second round game, nobody would be questioning his draft stock. But today we just have so much information at our fingertips. We're so hyper aware of every analytical profile of every guy that these things come to the fore. But just from a macro kind of perspective, I think Acuff, just his brand in general has shot up. And then my loser, my pick was Todd Golden, but Ryan said Florida. So I'm going to go with the death of the WCC, the West Coast Conference. You already lost. You lost Gonzaga, and you go out so fucking sad, man. Like, this was, for people who watched a ton of the WCC, this was sort of the swan song, and you had one last chance to sort of right the wrongs of the past for this conference not being able to make, deep runs in March, and you go out incredibly sad.
Because Mark Few's time might be up soon. Like, he might retire, and then I feel like he is this conference.
And Gonzaga,
as much as he is Gonzaga, he's this conference too.
Yeah, man.
I want to, along that note, I want to shout like St. Mary's as a personal loser. I had them making a big run, and holy shit, did they not even show up to the tournament? And they've done this year in and year out. That's on me for not recognizing that fact. But holy shit, what a sad performance from them when I know that I'm not the only person that kind of foresaw a little bit of a run from them.
Yeah, but speaking of like the realignment of it all, Beck, your boys, the Aztecs, are going to be in the new Pac-12. How do you feel about that conference going forward, especially as a basketball conference?
You're just it's just rebranding the Mountain West as the Pac. Like, that doesn't move me. Just because you named
and
something
Texas
different
State.
doesn't. Just because you named
Why
something.
is Texas State in that?
I don't fucking know, but. I mean, the Mountain West is competitive. It changes here, but San Diego State should have been in the tournament this year, by the way. Like, that was bad stuff by the committee. I definitely think they were deserving over some other teams, but that's neither here or there. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't do much for me slapping a different name on a conference, and, just because they're the Pac-12 now doesn't give them any more juice to me as a conference. They're a team that year over year, that their talent level, it can be, up in the air. There's a large range of outcomes for them. Their best team was, I think their best team was still, to me, the 2020 team that got Malachi Flynn. Like, I wish that team got a chance to go to battle. I'm happy they, had their national championship run. Still skeptical of the coach, though. The conference doesn't do much for me. Yeah, but so is it a merger of the Pac and?
Yeah, so they're, I mean, obviously they're rebuilding the Pac-12, and then the West Coast Conference is going to continue, and they're adding Denver and UC San Diego, and they're losing Gonzaga. So that conference is just going to be a joke.
So is Gonzaga in the Pac-12 though?
Yes, it's going to be Oregon State, Washington State, Boise State, any state basically. Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State, Utah State, Texas State, and Gonzaga.
It turns into like
really interesting.
That just turns it into the West Coast Conference. Plus, like Utah State and San Diego State are kind of the two staples out of the West Coast Conference. Or Mountain West over the last like 15 years. So there's two teams you usually see the most in the tournament.
Wazoo too.
But they kind of
Not recently, but
yeah, they become like the new St. Mary's they become like the new St. Mary's in that scenario a little bit.
Yeah, and the other thing we should say, you mentioned Mark Few potentially retiring, hanging it up. Randy Bennett just went to Arizona State, the St. Mary's coach. So they're losing like the guy who built that program. So like their Mark Few is gone. So maybe St. Mary's just like completely like maybe they just fade into oblivion.
Yeah, they are a fucking bore to watch though. Like
Yeah.
like when it's
Well, that's their
especially
thing.
when it's not good. Like,
Yeah,
it is
he's
bad.
the way I talked about Rick Barnes. He's in that. Like
Where did he say he's going?
he's going to Arizona State, and Morauskas just announced he's going to the transfer portal. He'll probably go to Arizona State too. So they're going to lose their best player and their coach. So
Yeah, I saw the Qs are getting the
They
dude from
deserve it.
Siena.
McNamara.
Yeah, no, but also the guard from Siena is going.
Oh yeah,
during the
Doty.
portal.
Yeah, Doty. Yeah. He's been like commenting on like Syracuse players. Like he's like slutting out for them.
That's fucking awesome.
He
So,
deserves it.
so yeah, I mean, I think the WCC is literally done. Like, there's gonna be tournaments where it's like San Francisco is like the automatic bid winner at like 17 and 15. They're literally gonna be like a nothing conference, which is kind of sad.
Terrific pick. No, it's time for that to end.
Pac-12 of football.
But yeah, those are our winners and losers. We have an excellent slate of Sweet 16 games coming up, starting tomorrow night. Today, if you guys are listening on the 26th. But folks, thank you so much for listening, and until next time.